Hello, everybody, and welcome to RaceDepartment.com's coverage of the Le Mans Series, Season 7, and we're here for the 6 hours of Silverstone. That's a lot of S's, and then my name is also Simon Smith, so you're doomed if you've got a lisp. Here at Race Department, we blur the lines between the real and the virtual world of motorsport. And we're going to be kicking you and screaming you all the way through the next 6 hours, and a little bit longer because we're in the middle of qualifying at the minute, for this round 2 of the Le Mans Series. So alongside me, I've got some beautiful people coming in throughout the entire duration of this broadcast, and currently alongside me with Davey on cameras. He's our cameraman extraordinaire. Say hello, Davey, if you want to. He can't. There we go. We've kept him in a corner somewhere. But alongside us as well, we have Joseph Wright.
Hello.
And Roy Magnus.
Hello.
How are you both doing, chaps?
Yeah, doing okay. I'm really looking forward to this. I've been extremely nervous that my team can do something tonight, and I've been up for quite a while now because I just can't sleep.
Was that with the excitement, though?
That was with the excitement. Whenever it comes to one of these events, it's just I wanna get racing immediately.
And how about you, Roy? You've got a vested interest as you'll be driving.
Yeah, I will be driving in the final couple of hours of the race, so just looking and learning for the first 4 hours, I think. They will never see how everyone goes along. Looking forward to it.
Excellent. And of course, this event is brought to you by some of our proud and fantastic sponsors. The Vesaro is our main sponsor for this Le Mans series, and the event sponsor for the Silverstone race is Thrustmaster. And don't forget, stay tuned, we've got prizes to give away and everything and stuff, and there'll be more about that later on. There's your hook. We'll line and sinker it later. So we're currently in the middle of qualifying, and we've got the GTs out there at the minute. How's it looking down on the track?
Very fast indeed. Times extremely competitive. Some of the more competitive lap times I've seen during testing, actually. Elaine Terzic currently is at the top of the GT class, but Avro Baker extremely close, and that's obviously FFT Course at the top, and then just behind RC Motorsport team. So extremely close at the moment.
Less than a tenth as well between those two, with Stefan Kanitz just a further quarter of a second back from third position. Coming towards the latter part of this qualifying session of the GTs, as they sort it out. And Stefan Kanitz for Team 115, don't forget, you can download your spotter guides from racedepartment.com, because if you're not used to all this team-based malarkey, as I kind of get a little bit sucked into open-wheeled racing quite often, it's always helpful to have your spotter guides, and thank you to the team that put those together. Kasper Solze is in fourth position, but the top 10 covered by just 1 second, and the top 17 of this 20 car GT section, or class rather, covered by just 1.9 seconds. So that bodes itself well for a really close race, Joseph.
Yeah, it exposed itself brilliantly, because within that first few laps, we're going to get a hell of a lot of close battling, and this time we're going to be trying a new start system where the prototypes are actually separated from the GTs. They're not bunched up, and we shouldn't see any incidents. It means that Elaine Terzic, Avro Baker, all of those guys will have a clean run going onto the start line, which either means they're going to be able to pull away, or they're going to have to do a lot of defending from the GTs behind.
And Roy, what's it like in terms of the getting lapped and being lapped with the GT categories around here? Is this one of the more trickier circuits to deal with?
In one way, yes, but another way, no. What I really like with the circuit is that it's quite wide, and with the prototypes you can take a lot of different lines compared to the GTs. So the real hotspot really is Maggots and Beckett's, and to a certain degree Chapel, where it is pretty much one file, but more or less the rest of the circuit is quite open, and it should make it a little bit easier to get past.
And how would you approach, so say if you've got a good battle coming up behind you with the prototypes, and they're coming at you to the complex of Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, what would you do? Would you just expect them to hold behind you as you go through that, or would you kind of do a lemon, I'll save myself, and dive out the way?
depending on how far away they are when they get into the corners. But if they are very close exiting cops, then you would probably be better off by just lifting a little bit on the throttle and letting them pass. But if you have a little bit of a gap down to them, then just go through and hope that they will wait for you. At least so they can get past through Chapel and out onto the hangar straight.
And of course, Joseph, you've got the added responsibility of being one of our safety car men. How are you prepared for that?
Not extremely prepared, but I've been told to stay on the pit limiter through the corners. So that should at least stabilise the car, and hopefully I won't spin it in front of any of the prototypes.
Davey will be on hand on cameras to cut away at precisely the right moment to make sure that it all looks professional. So we have a full field of 20 GT cars out there, which is fantastic. I like the little GT cars. I think they're nippy, and they've got enough downforce in it so that you don't look like you're a complete failure if you go into some of these corners around here. Hearing quite a lot of mixed opinions about Silverstone as a circuit to race on. I always had the impression that this was one of the most loved circuits, but I keep bumping into people who don't like racing here. So I'll be interested, drivers, when you do come in for interviews, do tell us what you think about the circuit itself. Current topics of the day, as it is Eurovision Day, is what do you think of your country's chances in the Eurovision? I'm sure we'll get Chris Stacey in later and he'll be talking about the Australian one. Quite how that's happened, I don't know. And also, the final round of this championship is still 6 hours of TBC. Now, I don't know of a circuit called TBC, so I'm assuming that's called to be confirmed. I'll be quite interested to hear your views.
It's just this really small oval. It's literally no space between any of the cars. You're just all in a tiny little line driving in a circle. It's going to be really thrilling.
Oh, amazing. That sounds like a night clubbing. And don't forget, you can pop into the chat over on Twitch where the commentary team are. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you so much for joining. Don't forget, you can tweet out with hashtag RDLMS as well. And don't forget to subscribe if you are watching on Twitch, because that might be quite crucial if you're fancying some prizes a little bit later. So, is it worthwhile diving on board for a lap to see exactly how this all goes round? Let's see if we can pick a driver that's coming up for a lap, and then we'll talk round what's the good points on this circuit. He says they're not actually finding anyone to dive on board with as starting a quick lap. In fact, actually, let's join our current pole sitter, Alan Terzic. He's just coming towards the end of Sector 1 and going round what used to be, in the historic part, the old version of Silverstone, ending the lap. And this
My
used to
much
be the old
preferred layout of Silverstone.
Yeah, you prefer the old bridge corner.
I really do. It's a lot, for me, it's a lot more fun to drive than the new one. It's not got that massive long straight where you're gaining everyone's slipstream. It's proper, really close racing.
And what do you think of the Maggots Beckett's Chapel complex? Do you still think that this is one of the more challenging fluid and flowed circuits of sequences of corners across motorsport at the moment?
Oh, definitely. One of the hardest that you can get right on a consistent basis. And during practice, I saw most people running wide or making some sort of mistake through there. It's extremely difficult to get it right.
And down into the hangar straight, such a iconic place before you get down into Stowe. Now, I always have the habit of running out too wide on the exit of this, and it's very, very easy to clip the outside curve and then hit it here and overshoot into Club, unfortunately. Now, Club used to be a swing it out wide and go nuts corner, and I think for people that have been quite old, like myself, I get a bit confused sometimes and forget that it's now a new club where you can't floor it quite out of that corner. And into turn 1, which again is very much on the limit of cars as you go through there. So yeah, I'm not averse to the new complex. I don't think it particularly adds anything different compared to what was there before, and I quite liked the old like Laffield section and stuff like that. So swings and roundabouts. I don't necessarily think it needed to be changed, but it's what we've got. And Alan Tazarek still on pole, but now only by 46 thousandths of a second because Kasper Zolzer has moved up into second, ahead of Alvaro Baker in third. The top three covered by less than 10th. That's crazy.
Yeah, Kasper Zolzer, obviously the 11000 bit racing, they won the first round in the GT class. So they're leading, they were leading the championship in the GTs, and they're going to hopefully come even stronger here and not have a few issues like they did at round one and continue to dominate up front. So being in second in qualifying, exactly what they need.
I guess it's a 6-round championship. You can't afford to have a drop race, can you, really?
No, it's very difficult to have a drop race and still recover from it. I mean, my team, TXL Racing, we had obviously a really bad race at the first time. We had driver swap issues, added a load of people. So we had a few retirements due to that. And it's going to be really hard for all of us teams down at the bottom that had issues in that first round to be able to recover during the remainder of the season. But we are hoping that we can get consistently up the top. The drivers that were winning in the first opening rounds of maybe they would just have a lucky race and we can sort of start to close up the gaps. But like you say, with such a short season, it's going to make it difficult.
Indeed, Mark Greenall in the 103 TXL Racing actually just literally has popped into 7th place with his new fastest time, so that might please you a little bit.
Oh, definitely. Hopefully he can do something with that. Obviously, I had an interview with Race Department the other day, and we're definitely looking on for a podium. We think that's totally achievable.
Ooh, as Enzo Fozzi, they're in 13th position. The 106 car has taken a mighty tumble, unfortunately, for the Talking Door Racing team. He's now escaped out, unfortunately, so that's probably the end of the day there for Enzo for the time being. And that's a shame because he was looking like he was about to improve some lap time. And because the field is so close, all you need is a tenth or two and you jump up a line on the grid. So very critical for them. And we've just lost Sam Sufi there. So that looks like being a pause in the GT category. And what's the guy on the back of Alvaro Baker who's gone into pole position now in the 212 car? What is on that rear bumper? All I can see is a man pointing.
Oh, wow. I have no idea. Who is that? We need some face recognition here.
Yeah. Looks like a singer though, but can't really say that I know the face.
Yeah, so RC Motorsports clearly having a retro. It looks like someone like Tom Jones from the 70s or something like that, or like yeah, Frank Sinatra type thing. I'm sure there's a meme waiting to happen. But well done, RC Motorsports. Good to see them still kicking around. Actually, I remember having deals and contracts with them about 10 years ago, so I'm delighted to see that the team is still going around. Lots of historic stuff, obviously, with the RDLMS series in its 7th season. It's like we've never. It's like we've lasted longer than Formula E. Lol.
No, are we better than Formula E? That's the question. I think so. We've got some,
very much.
Yeah, I think this series is really up there with some of the championships in the real world, as they call it.
I agree. And to be fair, I've got much better uses for AAA batteries. We're now into the end of the qualifying session. So Alvaro Baker does have pole position for RC Motorsport. So well done there. That's the end of the GT category. Alan Terzic, second, just 88 thousandths behind. Kasper Zolzer in third, just a tenth behind. Then Yuri Kastorp in fourth. Ari Taruna, in fifth. It's because I wanted to say tuna, and then I was like, don't say that. And now I've said it out on the stream. He's in fifth. Mark Greenhall up to sixth there in the end. although Stefan Kanitz has left, and I believe he was ahead of him, so I think he'll slot into 4th position. Mikhail Sadlakic in 8th position it will be. Matt Horse in 9th. Ivan Avinoa in 10th place. And everyone pretty close. There was just 2 teams at the back that were struggling a little bit there. You've got Darrell Russell there, 4.5 seconds off the pace in the 1-2-3 car. 1, 2, 3 for DR Motorsport. And that car really reminds me of the South African flag. Don't ask me why, it just looks like it to me. And Michael Nelson for our co-commentators team, RMI. You're down at the back, mate.
Yeah, that was where we started at Interlagos as well.
Only way is up.
Yeah, well, doesn't really have to mean anything for the race.
Yeah, it's a very
Probably a
long
bit
race.
easier to avoid any shenanigans from the back, I think.
Yeah, we've got 6 hours to make it through. Just qualifying at the rear of the class, 20th position. You can easily make through those 19 positions in 6 long hours.
Absolutely, that's the evil scheme. If it will turn out to be that way.
You're evil? I would never have known, Roy. So the P cars are now coming out onto the track. These guys are about 10 seconds a lap quicker, roughly.
Looking at the times, they definitely do seem about 10 seconds from the fastest of the 2 classes. So the split from the slowest of the prototypes to the fastest of the GTs, I think, was about 6 or 7 seconds during practice.
And so for people that aren't necessarily driving out in these Le Mans Series cars at the minute, apart from obviously the insane speeds that are the difference between the two, what are the difference between driving the 2 cars, if either of you have had a chance to do so, so that it kind of puts it in perspective for people?
The prototypes are a lot more, they're sort of stuck to the ground. You don't have the rear end kicking out as much as you would in the GTs. But if you have a sort of issue, like you wobble through a corner, it's very easy to unsettle your car, put it off the track and spin it. But in the GTs, you're fighting the car through most of the corners, which I find a lot more fun. You are against the car instead of working with the car, becoming one. And with that, it just means a 2-hour stint, or 3 hours that most of the guys are driving tonight. In the prototypes, as it's not very difficult to fight it, it's pretty smooth. It's quite boring to run. But for me, a GT car, you're fighting it the whole way, you're always on your toes, and it's just a lot of fun to drive.
Roy, have you had a chance to play with the prototypes?
Well, I haven't done in this incarnation of the game. I did with R-Factor 1. It was... I've never been good with cars that has downforce. I pretty much prefer the mechanical grip of the GTs.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I have to say I side a bit with Roy. Generally, the slower the car is, the better I am, which is why I probably would have killed arse in a noddy race that was going on. Not. I was about 5 seconds off the pace, and it was only about a 50-second lap. Yeah, I'm much more personally. I'm more competitive on chin top and touring car stuff, but my heart's in open wheeler and fast things, just because I want to go through pretty things fast with blurs. But yeah, it's not what I'm suited to. So downforce confuses me. What about setup, as some of the guys are now starting to put up their first times? Tom Watts goes top, 2 tenths faster than Shane Burke for Sim Tech, who is straight down to 3rd because Johan Harth splits the 2. And Kubo Brzezik now goes pole and by a second clear at the minute as well, 1:47.221. Nice opening gambit there from that team, who were top runners last time round, weren't they?
Yeah, they won it quite convincingly last time as well. I do believe they even disconnected and reconnected to the game and still won with quite a margin. So it's a very fast car with very fast drivers.
Yeah, Feeder decided to go for some food, I think, and then came back and still won. And that was how bad it was for everyone else.
I like the gap between number 2 and number 3 in the standings right now.
Yeah, Driller's into 3rd, just 6 thousandths of a second behind. the SRs. So yeah, nice and close, nice and close. So 9 of the prototype cars have set a time at the moment. Don't forget, download your spotter guide so that you can see what's going on out there on the track. So it is the feeder team that is on top at the moment, 9 tenths ahead of car numero 11, which is the MK Simsport team, not SR. Sorry, I was looking at their sponsor. Then we've got in third position. Oh, not anymore, because Shane Burke has now gone second. In fact, they're going faster second time round, which begs the question for a lot of these teams: is it rhythm, or is it one lap pace that gets you the fastest time?
Well, looking through at a number of the times that have been placed and talking to one of my teammates as well, it's the first few laps of pretty much warming up your tyres, getting into the groove of the circuit, making sure there's enough rubber laid down on your racing line. Because these prototypes, yes, they're now coming onto the track following the GTs, but as Roy was saying, the racing lines are slightly different through a number of the corners, means there's not really much rubber being placed onto the track where they are. So they need to get their cars warmed up, need to get their cells warmed up, and also need to get that rubber on the racing line before they can get as much grip as possible and put in the fastest times.
Sounds good to me, sounds good to me. And they are all going faster this time around. Lots of people, so like Drillers and Co, have actually gone out and just done one lap and gone back in again. But Simcraft and MR have gone out and done a second lap and gone a good 4 or 5 tenths faster this time round. Other teams are now starting to pop in times towards the back end of the field. John Soto and Rick Reckman. That's an unfortunate name for a driver. Oh, Richard Reckman. What? Your parents knew he was going to be a sim racer. Poor guy. And he's down in 15th, 8 seconds off the pace, so hopefully he will get a little bit faster as things go along. And we've pretty much got a full run of prototypes out there as well. So
yeah, 19 prototypes.
Yeah, full grid. Love it.
And currently our GT field has actually dropped down to 16, so I believe a few have disconnected to go and do whatever, and then they'll rejoin during that warm-up session. Obviously, half an hour between the end of the GT's qualifying and then the start of the warm-ups. They have a lot of time to go off and maybe get some more practice offline. But in that prototype field, a lot of cars, and I think this is a few more cars than we saw at Into La Goose.
Into the Goose?
Why does everyone comment on how I say that name? Everyone says I say it stupidly wrong.
It sounds like I would order it with a side of hoisin sauce. That's why.
Well, that's fine. You can go order that when you do your takeaway bingo. That's what you can order.
Done. So yeah, now we've got 17 of the teams now setting up times. Still feeder well clear, but now just by 8 tenths with Tom Watts in second for the MT team, and he's running a little bit wide there, if that serves me well. Shane Burke still going around in third, so they're going for much longer runs. Johan North for Drillers now down to fourth. Damien Boldy is in fifth for team number 16, and that is Team Comet. I knew it was Team Comet, but I wanted to say Team Rocket, and I was like, wrong program. This is going to be a recurring theme all the way through. Adam Hodgkins is up into 15th for Atlantic Motorsport, and they have, just to let people know, a drive-through penalty, I believe, that will be issued to them that's carried over from the previous event. So they'll be taking that at some point early on in the first stint. So look for them to be recovering some time back up through the field, which will make for some entertaining racing, hopefully early on. In that rather nationalistic British flagged car, I feel very patriotic. I almost want to salute us until I realise what a state of a country we've become. But that's about as political as I'll get on this programme.
And I can see that Ricardo Umans has joined the server as well for the Redshift Racing team. who was missing from the practice, but he has made it back into car in time for qualifying. That's always a good sight to see the team of staff actually making it through the circuit.
Oh, how low your your expectations go, sir.
Yeah, well, Damien sounded a bit worried a little bit a while ago, but that's turned out fine.
So what we like to do, if anyone's playing a drinking game, is shots for staff errors. So every time we see a staff member that's doing something that we tell everyone else not to do, then everyone must take a shot. I guarantee you'll all need hospitalisation by about 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. That seems a bit late. So if we're looking at staff hours, I mean, we'll probably only be about 2-3 hours into the race before they'll start needing to call whatever number they need to call in whatever country they're in.
Yeah, you know, both Joseph and I will be in the cars as well in this race.
Oh, actually, I am not going to be driving here.
Right.
It's Andrew and Mark going to be driving the TXL today. I'm going to be driving the pace car on the opening lap. But other than that, I really don't like Silverstone, so I'm not even going to try an attempt to do anything better.
Why you don't like Silverstone?
I like the smaller circuits. If it was just a national circuit, it's just the international circuit. I hate them combined. I just think they're two different circuits. I really do, and that together, I cannot get into the rhythm of it. So I just don't like it. I know, I'm one of those weird people, yes. It's like I'm one of those weird people that doesn't like Imola.
Oh no! I'm not a massive fan of Imola, to be fair.
Oh,
Shane
thank
Burke
God, there's another one of me.
Shane Burke's chopped 6/10 off of his time. He's gone second. He's the only one troubling Kuba Brzezinski at the minute. So that's going to make a potentially a 2-horse race if someone else doesn't go and join that. Feeling very F1 2016. But
well,
it's, yeah.
In come the race, I mean, these prototypes, because they're so much faster, we're going to see them split up a lot more than the GTs, which is why the gap between the fastest and the slowest in the class is so big, is because there's such a difference from making one tiny mistake. So I think come the race, it's going to be about consistency in the prototypes. We will see some battlings in those opening laps, but come the first hour, once that finishes, I think we're going to see the prototypes starting to go for consistent lap times and work it that way. The GTs, however, I think we'll be seeing a battling maybe for 2-3 hours before they start to split up.
Why? What? Is that just from a different mindset because of the way how the cars drive and the way how you get into things, or is it just the closeness of how everything is at the moment?
I think it's because if you look at it, slower cars will always be closer together because they don't have the chance to pull away as much. And I think that's what we're going to see in the GTs. But the prototypes, they're a little bit fast. Well, I say a little bit, they're 10 seconds faster. That means that you'll start to see the gap pull out a bit. It's like when you watch GTs on a track and then you watch on the same track, you see Clios run around a little bit later. You'll see that the Clios are battling a lot closer because they're a lot slower and you just can't pull away. So I think that's more my reasoning behind why we'll see the prototypes pull away from each other and the GTs will sort of stay bunched up for a little bit longer.
Mark Breslin down in 14th position, just crashing off in his Speedy Mite racing car. Currently showing 14th, 3.2 seconds off of pole. Definitely a much bigger field spread in the prototype cars, which again backs up what you were saying there, Joe. So yeah, it's going to be a interesting one. Richard Reckman has just improved his time to go 15th, also 3.2 off as well. And just a few cars currently sitting in the pit lane as we enter the final few minutes of this qualifying session. And I know we've said it before about how teams as a whole must kind of set up their cars kind of in a middle zone for everyone. how do you set up the driver that you take from qualifying and then into your first stint? Do you always go for your fastest one first, or is it just about availability of sleeping patterns and times, or do you go for one that you know is going to be okay battling with cars the most because it's the one way in theory you're closer? What goes into the process for that?
Well, in my mind, we've always had Mark. First round we've had Mark, this round we're having Mark, and we'll probably stay with Mark. But I think that's purely because Mark now knows how the starts run. He now knows what to do at the start. If I was to get behind that wheel, I'd have to learn what the starting procedures are. I'd have to learn how to battle with everyone in such close proximity. But because Mark's done it before, he now knows how to do it for the rest of the season. Why change? Why risk having someone go wrong because they don't know what to do?
And what about for you, Roy?
Well, we have gone quite the opposite way. Michael Nelson, who did qualify for us, is from New Zealand, so we are around midnight over there right now. So for him to even be able to race, we would have to put him first in the race. So that was also the reason for why he drove the final stints at Imola now or at Interlagos, because that was when he was getting up in the morning over there. So, and we didn't really put the fastest guy in the car for the qualifying or at Interlagos either, because I was driving the qualifying. And but well, you know, you would probably put someone. Well, for us then, who usually are at the back, you would probably have to put someone who can read a little bit of what is happening ahead of you on the circuit, with cars that are going into each other and stuff like that. Kind of find a way around it. But it is always a difficult thing. Finding the right guy to start the race.
I guess what we can gather from that is that there's no uniformed kind of approach or standard to it. It's just very much individual to the teams themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just diving back onto the track, Johan Harth has moved up into third position for drillers. He's a 10th behind Shane Burke, but Kuba Brzezinski has now moved the feeder team half a second clear of Burke, so he's improved by another couple of tenths, down into a 1:46.544. He's the only guy in the 1:46s, which is quite some amazing feat, it must be said, as Tom Watts now moves back into third position. This battle between Simtech, RC and drillers is going to be absolutely fascinating, because at the minute those three you could throw a blanket over them and have some kind of slumber party and get away with it. They're that close together. Damien Baldi is then kind of on his own down there in Team Comet in 5th position, and that's kind of reminiscent of what happened with Team Comet last time out. They seem to spend a lot of time kind of hovering around on their own and catching the back end of one battle and being at the front of another, but kind of in no man's land in the middle, but collecting good points potentially.
With that being said, Damien Baldi, Adam Hodgkinson and Daniel Pizzo is very close on the times, and even Hodgkinson and Pizzo has the same lap time.
Yeah, they're both 1.393 off of Kuba Brzezinski, so wow, I don't think you can even get closer than that. That is amazing.
Only 300s behind Damien Baldi as well.
Yeah, I mean, I said that the prototypes weren't going to be as close as the GTs, but obviously I've been proven wrong.
So just looking into the chat, actually, that's a very good question from Lazarov Philippkos. What's the weather like today? And Grind C in the chat has popped, there's a chance of rain towards the second half. So it is England. I must say, I'm about 45, 50 miles away from Silverstone where I live. It's a bit grey.
Well,
so we'll see.
I also live rather close, actually. I live about a half an hour drive away, and I'm looking out my window now. And
is it soggy?
No, actually, there's blue skies, a lot of clouds, but they're all white clouds. So it seems like, at the moment anyway, the clouds are not going to give us any rain. So we should be safe for the next couple of hours at least.
Didn't we hear about this possible rain at Interlagos as well?
Yes, we did. We heard about a lot of possible rain at Interlagos, and it was worrying myself when I was behind the wheel, because they were saying that it was starting to rain there, and I was thinking, oh, it's not. but we didn't get it in the end, and hopefully the same will be said for here at Silverstone, because I'm not going to lie, TXL has put hardly any wet weather testing in. So yes, P number 5 and P number 6, Damon Boldy and Daniel Pizzo, the time is no longer identical because Boldy has actually gone slightly quicker now and has got himself up into P5.
Which is handy because Team 14, which is Scania Endurance Motorsport, with a team that also improved. So Adam Hodkinson there slips down to 7th, just over a temp separating 5 to 7 there, and they've got a few temps over our 8th position guy, Adrian Sibiela, with Sherwin van der Sloot, who was actually the last driver to set a time in the prototype cars. They were very late getting out onto the track. And so the team that have got a 003 on, Simtech International, trying to make up for lost time, essentially. But they're getting in some decent laps now, up into 9th position, ahead of Nate Idens, that rounds out the top 10 there for Wild Weasel. What an amazing team name that is. We've also got a Frenchy Fox, so there is clearly something going on with animals. I'm expecting some kind of, like, I don't know, blatant badger or something like that to happen.
It's better than Team Roadkill.
That sounds like one of your rally excursions, to be fair. I've seen you and your chums' Facebook posts where you're off doing rally somewhere in some battered up banger.
Yeah.
Oh, we've just seen a mistake down in Maggots and Beckett's, actually. Nate Idians of Wild Weasel. And that's, I think, what we're going to see quite often during the race is that section of corners are actually really difficult to get right. And we see that he's had to stay off the circuit to make sure he doesn't pull out in front of anyone. And he may have lost about 10-15 seconds with that. So if something like that happens in the race, you could lose a number of positions.
So that's actually a really good point, Joseph. So are there specific things on parts of the circuit about rejoining where you need to rejoin at certain parts?
Well, there is a more sportsmanlike behaviour when you come on. As long as there's no one behind you, you can come back on the circuit wherever you please. But if there's people behind you, yeah, you have to be extremely careful where you come on. You need to make sure you're in a safe location. You're not rejoining on the racing line. You're not rejoining at a 90-degree angle. So it's going to be interesting to see, definitely through that corner, how people are going to get back on. Because as you saw, Idians ran all the way along the Maggots and Beckett complex, which is exactly what you need to do. If you run off, stay off. Wait until the end of the complex and then get back on there, because then you're not going to be in anyone's way. You're not going to be slower than anyone who's flying through there already.
Especially if there is a pack of cars coming up, then it's often quite difficult for the one at the back of the pack to see anyone moving on the outside of the circuit.
Tom Watts has improved for RC Motorsports again, and he's getting painfully close now, just 200ths behind Shane Burke in the Simtech racing car. So that battle continues to squeeze tighter than a sphincter going down a roller coaster. And who was that just changed position?
Tom Watts is into 3rd, Johan Harth down to 4th. I believe that's the change you're on about.
Aha!
There's quite a big gap, actually, looking at it. Between 1st and 2nd, half a second between them. And then between 4th and 5th, once again, half a second. So it looks like we're getting rather close sort of groups. And that may be the way it goes in the race. We'll have those groups of cars, but everyone else will sort of just split off into their own groups. So we might have groups of maybe 3 or 4 cars, but they're not racing together. They're just racing each other in that tiny little portion of the grid.
And of course, And you're quite right. They have sectioned off into little things up and down the field, because even towards the back end, you've got 17th, 18th, and 19th. They're all separated by just a couple of attempts as well. You've got Ricardo Umans in the red shift down in P17. John Sota is in 18th position in the number 12 car, which is the Roaring Pipes Maniacs RPM, and they've been a mainstay for this series for a very long time. And Danny Ruggier, who's just made an almighty lock-up down at the end of Sector 1 as they go into coming out of what used to be the final corner on the old-style circuit. Kept it on the road, though, which is the main thing. And he is currently our slowest guy, but he's only 4.3 seconds off for KAMF. So the prototype teams have all kind of shuffled themselves in a little bit closer. That was much further spread apart earlier on in this qualifying session. And they are 8 seconds clear from what would be Alan Terzic, who is our GT winner. So that's quite an interesting stat to note for when you're looking at blue flags and lapping and so on.
We're very close to the end of qualifying now, so do you think we're going to be seeing any more improvements in lap times, or I think they're probably now at the point where they've pushed the hardest, but what do you think?
Well, you got nothing to lose, and I think once you've the grip will be at its premium as someone else goes off at the Maggots Beckett's corner. You can see like the trail of dust on the on the broadcast there. It's the point where the grip is at its most premium in the qualifying session. It's not as if you're limited for tyres or anything like that, so you'll be going out there and burning away. The only other thing is that if you're kind of feeling a little bit on your back foot and you don't really want to go around pounding laps in, sometimes what I used to do is if I think, right, well, that's all I'm going to get out of a session, because I'm more looking at the rear end of the field than the front, is that I'd actually go out and get a couple of laps out with full race fuel, so that when I'm looking at turns 1 and 2 and 3 for the first start, I've already adjusted in my brain where my braking points will be for them. So I've almost like had a practice run, but it's very individual.
Yeah, we do have a warm-up session following this where the drivers will be able to obviously run out on full fuel, practice overtaking the other classes or being overtaken by the other class on the fuel with fresh tyres, whatever race tyre they're going on, hards, mediums. I really doubt we'll see the softs being used. So they will have a time to practice, but if they aren't able to improve, then I think you are right. They might do this end few minutes, might just test out the car a little bit, get a little bit of a head start before heading into the warm-up.
So why would the softs not be used? Is it just because they don't last the fuel stint?
Yeah, well, when Interlag Goss, as you call it, that circuit, anyway, found one, we saw that the mediums were probably the best to run on, purely because the softs would maybe only last about 45 minutes. Fuel can last you about an hour, maybe even slightly more, depends if you save it a little bit. But the softs, they won't last you that stint. The mediums, you've got to be a bit tyre saving, conservative mode. I was very low on my tyres during my stints at the last round at the end of it. And the tyre wear here at Silverstone, in my team's eyes anyway, it's less than what it was at Interlagos. So I think the medium's probably the optimum tyre for the GT class anyway. But I don't think we will see those softs. They just wear out way too quickly compared to the fuel.
And Roy, do you have any particular thoughts over tyres for your stints and strategies?
Well, I have been playing a lot of with it to see whether or not I could actually go double the distance with the harder tires, but I can't. So no, I'll say it's a very difficult balance. Do you want to go with a hard tire and a full tank of fuel, or do you want to go with a medium tire and less fuel and have more stops but shorter stops and faster lap times? It's cool to see.
It's the strategy ball of fun. Team RGPL have just improved there with Zednik Smarda going up into P number 9. We've also had Daniele Pizzo move up into P5, just a second off of pole. So he's starting to move away from the Damien Boldy. And Nate Idens has just moved his Weasel up into 9th place as well. And Charles Baccio has just moved into 11 for Talking Doors Racing. So clearly, the time is now if you want to do a quick lap, because they're all on it. The big loser out of all of that actually is Sherwin Vandersloot, who's just going around to start a quick lap now. He's dropped from about P9 a couple of minutes ago down to 13 because there is a massive cluster from Nate Idens in 9th place down to Sherwin Vandersloot in 13th, covered by just 0.2 of a second. So you've got 5 teams and you could barely spit an anorexic between them all. So interesting little gaggle of groups there, and they're quite clear of the next lot with Emmanuel Taffinode down in 14th position, kind of running around a little bit on his own there in the number 26. And then you've got the rest kind of behind. So that will be interesting stuff when we get into the race itself.
Well, Sherwin Vandersloot, I've raced him a number of times, and specifically in the RDGPC, and he didn't qualify too well there either. But come the race, he showed great consistency, and he was able to climb up the order and get a really good position in the outcome of the race. So we might see it again here, where he has a lower qualifying position, but he's able to push it just that little bit harder than everyone else on the race tyres, on the race fuel, and he's able to gain up those positions.
Rather fab. So I was just having a quick squeeze down the order. Most people now coming back into the pits from the leading lot. Yeah. So this is the point where you throw all caution to the wind, because if you ain't going to improve now, it doesn't really matter. It's not as if you've been a car, it's not going to... The damage is going to carry forward into the race itself. It looks as though everyone pretty much has sorted themselves out. The battle for the wooden spoon of the class at the back, Danny Ruggier, or Ruggier, I'm not quite sure which way you're supposed to say it, has now outpaced John Sota. So John Sota is sadly the slowest car in this session, the number 12, which is Roaring Pipes Maniacs, only by a couple of hundredths. And they're the only 2 teams that were not within 4 seconds. That was one last improvement there I spotted. It was Zednek Smarda, once again, retaking 9th place from Nate Idens. So that works out well for Team RGPL. And Nate Idens still carries on in the top 10. And I think that's our lot. Well done to Kuba Brzezinski for getting pole position. Half a second there from the feeder motorsport team. And that, my friends, I think is a warning shot to the rest of the team of we want 2 from 2. So who else is your standouts there from Quali?
I think some of the standouts are a couple of the names that I wouldn't expect to be nearer the front, actually. Arwin Taruna, sitting quite high in the GT class, 4th position, in fact, for his team. And also up in the prototypes, Daniel Pizzo. I'm actually quite surprised to see him up near the top as well. It's nice to see, though, that it's not always the same drivers just dominating the qualifying, dominating the races. It's going to be a variety of positions, bearing in mind it's a whole team of drivers.
And Roy, anyone stand out for you quickly?
Not really in that sense. It's I would say that it is a lot tighter than I actually thought it would be. That's at least looking good for the race.
That it is. Well, we like a tight one, and we're going to be having 6 hours of tightness, I imagine, when it comes back after the warm-up that we're going to have for the break. The break we're going to have for the warm-up. Get your mouth sorted, Smithy. Right. So, don't go anywhere unless you're going to get some snacks and some booze, because that is recommended only for the audience, not the drivers, please. So, thank you very much for joining for us for this Vesaro RDLMS. the Thrustmaster 6 Hours of Silverstone. My name is Simon Smith. We'll be taking a short break where you'll be entertained with some music and so on and so forth off stream. And we'll be back for the race in a couple of minutes' time. See you soon.
Try that, everything coming right back, right back. Won't you
Hello everyone and welcome back to Race Department's Le Mans series brought to you by Vesaro. And welcome to the Thrustmaster 6 Hours of Silverstone, round 2 of 6 of this series. And it's an absolute pleasure to bring this to you. My name is Simon Smith. And I'll be kicking and dragging and screaming you all the way through to the closer in 6 hours time, and I'll have plenty of friends to play with along the way, not least the 40 cars that will be taking part in this race, hopefully. Now, alongside me, as always, there is a broadcast team of people waiting to help us out. And I hope that that's not my game crashing. If it is, then lols to us all. But alongside me, Roy Magnus has kicked around from qualifying. Hey, Roy.
Hello.
And I've been joined by Dan Marr. How are you doing, Dan?
Good afternoon, I'm very well, thank you. How's yourself?
Delightful, thank you. Ready and raging to go. And the wonderful Davey is our cameraman extraordinaire. He can't say hello, but he waves from a window where we've chained him to a PC so that he can bring you lots of graphical joy and pixelated perversion to your screen. And we're just getting the grid all sorted out now.
Oh, and there might have been contact on the opening formation lab in the P2 field.
Oh, tell us about it whilst I reset my game.
So you're resetting your game. Okay, I'll keep an eye on everything. I believe it was the number 21 car, which is the KAMF racing car with Danny Ruggier aboard that car. And all I saw was he was coming onto the bridge on the Wellington Straight. There was a couple of cars going side by side, and all of a sudden they sort of closed up a bit together, and then there was just sort of lifted up in the air ever so slightly, and there was bits of front end plates all over the ground, which is not always a good idea, especially in these quite heavily aero-driven cars here at Silverstone. It's quite a fast circuit, so you'll definitely want those throughout the course of the lap as we come through Cops now on the second half of our formation lap. We're getting ready for this 6-hour endurance race here at the Race Department's Le Mans series.
So just to take you through some of the grid, we've got the feeder series there in pole position, followed by Simtech alongside. MK Simsport is in third, ahead of Drillers Motorsport in 4. Sicania and Comet, the next row along, with Atlantic and World of Sim Racing team behind those. Team RGPL and Wild Weasel follow them through, followed by Talking Door Racing and Speedy Mite. Simtech International, Frenchy Fox, a new team in this race. KRT and JIM, Jim Racing, they'll be Jim to me. Follow through with the KAMF, the strugglers there, with John Sauter in Roaring Pipe Maniacs rounding out the prototypes. Talk us through the GTs quickly for us.
So in GTs it will be the RC Motorsport team, the number 121, starting on pole position in that class. They've got the 116 alongside those, the FFT course car. Double 100 Bits Racing is what I'm going to call them. 120 is in third place. Fourth.
Attention please, this is race control. GT cars, line of information.
Into the into third place. All Star Racing is in fourth. Fifth place is Apex Eclipse. Sixth will be HM Engineering. TXL Racing will be in seventh place. Eighth place RGPL. As we get underway, it's Kuba Brzezinski who will start on pole position.
GT cars engage your pit limiter.
Up to the line now they come, and we're getting
prototypes, get ready.
Up towards the line now, and
Green flag, prototype, green flag,
lights
prototype.
out, and away we go for the 6 hours of Silverstone, the Thrustmaster 6 hours of Silverstone here in the Race Department Le Mans series, sponsored by Vesaro, and it's Kuba Brzezinski who makes the best start up into the lead of the race from pole position as they come up towards farm for the first time. Second place is Shane Burke. Third
GT
place
cars, get
is
ready.
Johan Hath. As they come through the loop
GT,
for
green flag,
the
green
first
flag,
time,
green flag.
the green flag waves in GT as well. So the 6 hour race gets underway here at Silverstone. It's currently feeder in the lead, Simtech is second, Drillers Motorsport up into third, MK Simsport is in fourth place at the moment. Brzezinski, who qualified the car, has started up in first place and now currently in the lead of the race. Shane Burke in second place, Johan Hart in third, Tom Watts fourth, Daniele Pizzo in fifth, and Adam Hodgkinson is in sixth at the moment. And as they make their way through the second half of the lap, just coming out of Woodcote now, up towards the old start-finish line and up towards Cobbs, that ever-fast corner, very quick, very demanding in these conditions, especially in these P2 cars. And currently looking at Adrian Sabina in third place. Bascio is in 10th place. Van der Sloot is up into 11th at the moment. There's a little bit of a battle between Breslin and Idiens in 12th and 13th through Magnussen Beckett's the whole complex. Very, very quick, very committed stuff, especially on this first lap. Look how close they all are. No one's made out a particularly big break. It's only half a second between the two race leaders on the opening lap as they come up towards the final couple of corners. They've just come through Stowe up to the final chicane, and that is one lap of the 6-hour race already completed, and it is going to be that frantic throughout the rest of the course of the race. Over the line, Bresnitsky, he seals the lead up into third place. He's got a second lead on Shane Burke in second place. So it's currently Feeder Ragnar Simulator in first place. Second place for Simtech Drillers are in third. Fourth, Ronco Simsport as they come up towards the field, up towards farm once again. And I believe Simon, there you go.
I'm alive. I'm back
You're
again.
alive.
There was only a couple of problems down at the very, very back. We had the RPM guys have gone off, and Attila Mikolos has gone off on lap 2 down at at the end of lap 1 down at Stowe. So the last 3 teams in the GT category all having a little bit of a drama, but all still going and pointing the right way.
You say that, yes, we are. However, it was Danny Ruggier who I said had those problems on the formation lap into the pit lane, getting it repaired nice and early. So an early pit stop from the P2 from now last place in P2, and he might want to be careful. He could well lose a lap, which even in these early stages of races can be quite difficult to make up. But can I just make a suggestion, Simon? I'm not sure whether you can see this or not, but it does look like it's getting a bit dark.
Yes, well, we've been discussing rain and weather already throughout this, because we've got a few people that are quite close to the circuit, and they were saying that it's beautiful sunshine and blue clouds. But I live about half an hour away, and that's someone off. That's Van der Sloot off down at where is that?
Van der Sloot's gone off on the exit part of Magnussen Beckett's. He's must have come through. There you go. Enabled my replay, so I'll talk us through what's happened here. Coming through the left-hander, grabs a little bit of curb, back end cold tyres, that classic syndrome, grabbing a little bit of the curb, maybe the bit on the grass. Cold tyres not served him well this instance. He's spun out and lost positions.
Not great, down into 17th position then by the time he rejoins, which is third last in that P2 category, but ahead of Emmanuel Taffeneld, who has also had an off somewhere along the line as well. So very much we were talking about this in qualifying, where it's all about the race of consistency and stability, and that's proving to be the case very early on, as that is an absolute corker of a scrap going on just behind the leaders. We've got Adam Hodgkinson in 5th position, leading an absolute train of cars with Baldi, Smada, Subiela, Baccio, Idens and co all kind of piling in behind, just a couple of seconds covering them all. Damien Baldi fancying a look at Hodgkinson at the end of sector 1 to come around the old part of the complex. I feel nostalgic for a split second, but you've got to be careful, because Smada's there waiting to pounce in that beautiful red liveried car, and you've kind of got to have one eye one side of your head, one eye on the other.
Exactly, that's what's going to happen, and especially around places like Brooklands coming into Woodcote and into Luffield as well, is of course if you're going through the left-hander, you're trying to attack on the left-hander, you leave yourself exposed on the right-hand side, which then means the driver could possibly get side-by-side up the inside of Luffield, take the position away from you. So certainly it's something you've got to be mindful of. As you say, it's this close. P2's always going to, all the racing here is going to be that close. So you've got to be mindful of the fact that one move you might try and make somewhere could affect the rest of the lap. It'll make you slower, but more importantly, you can lose even more track position and time. Meanwhile, it looks like Baccio had a bit of a look at the inside of Sabida coming up towards Stowe. In fact, Sabila coming up towards Stowe. Didn't quite work, and that lovely, beautiful Nissan engine Ligier, the bright yellow Ligier, had a bit of a look, and it maybe tried it, couldn't make anything out of it, but nonetheless, signalling intent. So too, though, is Kuba Bresnitsky. 1.2 seconds his gap over the line to Shane Burke. Even in 2 laps, that's not a bad lead, is it?
Not bad at all. Behind them, in 13th and 14th, Redshift Racing's Ricardo Ullman's got round Ricardo Reckman and KRT down into Cox. It was a lovely little move. The KRT driver gave him the room. showing that you have to be kind of a bit compliant with overtakes into there, but it kept them all going the right way. John Sota's just been off the track down in 16th as well. But yes, Kuba Brzezinski has really grabbed the ball by the horns in this feeder car. He was half a second faster in qualifying. That kind of translates to 1.3, 1.5-ish when you're looking at it per lap. Shane Burke will have a bit between his teeth. I've already seen him tweeting out exactly what's been going on behind the wheel where he is. Let's take a quick look at what's going on in the prototype just down further behind. And actually the lead and nose is kind of really separated out. Ellen Terzic well clear of Stefan Kanitz, who's got Yuri Kastok all over the back of him in the battle for second and third in class. That's All-Star Racing versus Apex Eclipse. Alvaro Baker for RC has dropped down to 4 from Arwin Terraner for HM Engineering in 5th. And then there's little gaggles, but actually that class a little bit more spread out, which is surprising, as Daniel Ruggier there is moving up through the field in 35th position currently at the moment. He shows just getting past Miguel Angel Figueras, and he'll be picking off those GT cars quite quickly, I'd imagine.
Yes, it will be quite. It's interesting to see because the P2s, they're very similarly matched in terms of straight line speed, the P2s and the GTEs. So it's all about using your aerodynamic advantage, and if you can't pull alongside or try and get your nose in ahead, you can't really use that. So you've got to be patient sometimes when overtaking the GT cars, and we won't see that so much of Ruggier as we will with the lapped traffic when that comes into play later on, even in about another, I'd give it another 10 minutes or so when they start closing in on the race leaders in GT as well. It's certainly going to be an interesting one to see how they deal with the lap traffic, because around here it can be quite difficult to overtake. So
Yeah. It's and Shane Burke there, interestingly, stating intent, set the fastest lap of the race that time round, bringing down the gap 2/10 of a second. Brzezinski's much faster in Sector 1, and Burke seems to be able to pull it back in Sector 3, so that must be around setup and drivability of the cars. But yeah, you're quite right. When you come in, say if you catch people into the complex that the leaders are coming into now, you'll get, and Roy was saying this earlier, you'll get stuck behind them potentially, and you'll have to wait until that all filters back out again, and that accordion will really play a part. Roy, I don't know, are you there, mate?
Yeah.
So yeah, and you can see they're catching people already. What your team will be looking in its mirrors somewhat, because you're in the GT cars. What does that kind of make you dread of now?
Well, what we really don't want to see as a GT driver is a gaggle of 5 or 6 prototypes that are coming at you at once. Looks like it has spread out a little bit, at least from the front runners in prototypes. Could be a little bit better for better for the for the GT. Lost for the words.
there we go. Lap traffic already. Barely 13 minutes into this motor race, and they're already lapping some of the GT cars, and that's
going to be
a little
busy.
bit close. Oh, that was quite close between Brzezinski and the Aston Martin there at the time. I thought that was an interesting move. You're going to see, in the next 5 hours and 45 minutes, you're going to see nothing but those kinds of moves. So it might be a little bit touch and go, but you've got to be patient. And as the Aston Martin runs out wide, the Ferrari nearly follows there. Suit. Oh dear, that was
Russell and Haas there getting nearly close together, and this is what we're talking about, in that you've got different ways, different moves, and that's looking like another pincer move there going on. It's the almost South African looking liveried there of Daniel Russell, just getting caught out in the wrong moments. It's not, but it's so difficult. You need to be able to commit and stick to a line when you're being lapped, I think, and not changing lines over, almost by being too helpful and then causing problems.
Exactly. I think as the drivers' briefings always try to suggest is if you're being lapped, don't move from your line. You're entitled to your line. The car that's quicker than you should be the one that's having to make the move. So for a GT car, the best thing it can do is actually stick to the racing line and be as predictable as you can, because then an approaching car can see, yep, okay, his line is clearly there. I can clearly move up the inside or the outside or wherever here, and it just makes life easier for everyone else. But saying that, now that we've got some of the GT cars battling away, as you say, with the race leader and in fact all the P2 cars coming through and having to interfere a little bit in making their races as quick as possible, it's going to be quite interesting. They're going to have to be patient to try and get past these guys.
They will, and interfering in the right way, not in the kind of way that involves a police report afterwards. But they're having their own battles that are going on, these P2 cars and GT cars, and so I love it when it's all mixing together, because then you're playing essentially high-speed chess to try and work out exactly where bits and bobs will kind of work at the minute. So I'm looking at Attila Mikolas in 35th position. He's got Sam Sufi right in front of him, and if he plays his cards right, he could pull out and have a little rummage and a Lungelina down at the end of Sector 1 at the back, the first of the couple of straights. He won't do it, but again, it's where you move out of the way, you don't move out of the way, and so on and so forth. As Tom Watts runs round, he'll be wary of that. He was the guy that got hit last time round on that lap, but he's sticking to it and doing it the same. And that's the way of sticking to the line and making sure that it works properly. There is Mikolas right onto the back of Sufi. Does he fancy a look into cops? I don't think he... peekaboo, but not quite.
Exactly, it's going to be an interesting one to watch. Also, you say it's high-speed chess. Well, Shane Burke is caught all up to the back of Kuba Brzezinski. So the Fiat Ragnar simulator car had a 1.3 second lead at one point. Now it's down to just 0.3. It's going to close in, and of course they've got the GT cars to thread through as well. And so far, it seems to have favoured Burke as opposed to Brzezinski.
They've got Greenall just up in front and another car in front of him as well. What they're going to do is they come out of Stowe down into the club corner. They've got past one. Are they going to get past
No,
the
they're
second
not.
car? Ooh,
This is going to be waiting an eternity, and this is going to really upset Brzezinski because this really can differentiate your line. You can see a little bit slower going through there, and you run up towards Abbey as well. He's going to be compromised. He's got the toe going through Abbey and up towards Farm now. He's got the toe. Can it work? I don't think it will, but look, he's having to defend. Brzezinski's defending. You can see he's putting the pressure on already. You can see he's worried. He's having to defend. Not quite sure why, because he had just about enough gap. But you can see the pressure is already getting to him, and he's already having to think about defending, not attacking the race circuit.
And that just costs you time. And look, you've got Sedelic and co battling just up ahead. There's a few guys up ahead. It's an absolute cluster of cars that they're coming up to, and they're hitting it at the wrong point for Brzezinski's point of view. Now he's going to have to go around the outside. That will confuse him, as they've got Marquardt.
Oh, he's struggling to do it though.
He's going to get stuck, isn't he?
3 wide.
That is very Zonta-esque as they dive through. Down up into the cops corner once again. Davis, Fozzie's there letting them through as well, as they dive through, and it's Feeder.
And here goes Shane Burke stuck.
Yeah, and that's just how quickly the accordion effect goes up and down, doesn't it?
And in fact,
Almost
it looks like Johan Hart was just about to drive all the way around him. Doesn't quite do it. Raggers and Beckett's almost a bit of contact. Wide for Shane Burke onto the grass, gets it stuck. Johan Hart in third. He's got Tom Watts all over the back of him. Between 2 cars and them, all of a sudden, what was the battle for the lead? It's not only the battle for second, but also for third. 3 wide coming down the Hangar Straight. It's just, as you say, the pendulum effect happens so quickly. It's so unpredictable, but all of a sudden it goes from Shane Burke looking like he was in prime position to take the lead of this race, and all of a sudden Tom Watts could be up into second.
It's drama that's going on as well, because Kasper Soltze was actually really high up on the grid for the GT cars, so he's not wasting time. He wants to pick off people from an earlier incident, so he's not going to be in that mindset to let people out of the way and get them through. He's busy recovering positions, and here we are up to Mr. Davis, who again runs out wide. That car looks a little bit loose, but they've got their way through it now, and Burke now having to defend from Hearth, but blocked by Sedelic. Is just pure high-speed chess there. Roy, I heard you dive in there. Sorry, mate, we overtook you. Is Half going to go for Burke? Sorry. Oh, he's off. Who's that off in the background?
Oh no!
And that was one of the Ferraris. In fact, that was, I can't quite see, was that Saladek?
It was Saladek, yeah.
Saladek,
Yeah.
that was the one.
So he's rejoined in, it's Mikhail Saladek, rejoined in 28th position for Team RGPL. Just ahead of Panda Racing, new this weekend, or this race, sorry, for Dennis Marquardt, doing a nice one. I'm loving the animal named teams this year, getting all good on that. But that has basically given Johan Half second position. Burke has gone down to third. Drillers up to second. People were commenting in the chat. They were surprised that Drillers weren't closer in qualifying. Well, they're closer in the race.
Certainly so.
Oh, not that much longer. Burke round the outside. What a beautiful move there as they got round Baker, and Watts is going to stick his nose up for RC as well. And Johan Arf goes from second to fourth in one fell swoop, coming out of the complex. Beautiful manoeuvring. And Half there just wrong-footed one way and the other. Nothing that anyone could do, but it's just a matter of taking advantage of things. And Half down into fourth position. And that was just being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Exactly. You never want to be the first car to encounter traffic. You want to be second. The first makes a mistake. The second, you take the position. As such, we've seen Half now up into fourth place, down into fourth place, while Tom Watts now up into third. Shane Berg once again takes second. Whilst all this is happening, though, they've cleared the GT cars now, so Brzezinski's got some very clear air ahead of everyone else. And in fact, I think he's also lapped Ruggier as well. So, sadly for Ruggier, his lead lap that he just about kept onto was not succeeded.
We're on to lap 11 currently at the moment. 20 minutes in. Whew, it's been an exciting 20 minutes. I'm slightly sweaty, but in a good way.
I say, yeah, you're not going to last 6 hours at that rate.
I know. My poor moves. Who needs a diet? There's an absolutely almighty scrap going on 8th and 9th. Adrian Sibiela has just overtaken, literally now, Zenek Smada for 8th and 9th position. Adam Hodgkinson's kind of cleared this out because they're busy battling.
Moves up the inside into Brooklands.
Yeah,
Ducked back out of it though. Had
nicely defended, but they've got Matt Davis again sitting there, kind of parked on the apex and the racing line. So they're having to brake from it, and it's the same as what we saw up front. It's just trying to work out where you can go. But Charles Baccio, I think, quite fancies the pair of them, but he's going to get caught out as well as they come down to Cops. I think it's going to be as you were, just about.
I saw an incident coming up into turn number 3, I believe. The prototype got into a GT about 20-30 seconds ago. They're both back on the circuit, no damage sustained, but a lot of positions lost. That was Fermin Primitivo, and I believe it was the 109 car of Miguel Andres Piqueras.
Interesting.
And welcome back, Joe.
Also
Yes,
that.
thank you.
How was that pace carring?
Oh, it was very nerve-wracking. I actually thought that I was going to do something terribly wrong, and I decided to speed up on the straights a little bit, come off the pit limiter, but everyone else was still on the pit limiter, so I had to slow down through the next few corners to allow them to catch up. But no, it was a lot of fun to finally lead a race for once.
Screen cap that.
Yes.
Somewhat still ahead of Johan Half in this 3rd and 4th place battle between RC and Drillers. They've just got round the leader of our GT category. Alan Terzic is absolutely stomping away from Yuri Kastorp at the minute. It's quite impressive. Sherwin van der Sloot into the pits from 15th position as well. So that's an early one for him. Also, Adam Hodgkinson has not taken his drive-through penalty that he is owed to do yet either. But he's got a certain amount of time to kind of get that done, primarily so that he doesn't then come out into the prototype category and then get all confused and flummoxed in trying to get back through again. But Van der Sloot very early, and he's just coming down off the front jacks now, but that's going to drop him right to the back of the prototype category.
So why does Hodgkinson have a drive-through penalty then?
It's due to like online track respect from a previous incident that's kind of carried over that was discovered after race. So yes, let that be a lesson to people. Don't intentionally ram people off the track.
No. Speaking of drive-thrus, Matt Horst in the Redshift Racing Porsche car number 114 has done a drive-through a couple of laps ago.
I wonder what that could have been for. Could it be track limits already?
I wouldn't hope so, but you never know.
I believe Matt Horst caused some sort of issue on the first few laps. I was sitting with the race control and there were a number of people come in and mention something. That might have been one of them, so they've had to serve that penalty for some sort of incident. It wouldn't be track limits this early in the race for sure. These drivers know how to take the track, and I don't think we should see any penalties throughout this race due to the track limits. As long as they come off that accelerator, once they go off and out of those white lines, they should be fine.
Well, that's not necessarily how it works, especially in the British circuits, of course, as we've seen, you know, stuff like British GT, where we've had like 6 laps in the race and we've had 2 or 3 drivers being given 5-second limits 5-second penalty for track limits when going over the white line, as you say. Certainly I saw some drivers pushing it in qualifying, and that's naturally to be expected, but if you're going to be pushing it that aggressively, you should expect to get a penalty for going over the white lines. At the end of the day, that's not the track surface, that's, you know, to tell you where the track isn't. And as I said earlier, it looked like it was really dark. Now it seems to have lit up somewhat, so maybe that forecast rain isn't actually coming yet. Maybe there might be forecast rain. We don't actually know. We're just sort of winging it and seeing.
This is kind of like Interlagos. We were expecting rain, we didn't have any.
We had live pic photographs and everything from someone at the circuit, and it all turned to nope. A bit like my love life. 32nd, 33rd, and 34th position though, having a quite good little cluster gang together. So Tilla Nicholas, Victor Irula Garrido, who we've not actually spoken about all race, and Matt Horst, who has been assigned a drive-through penalty, trying to get his way through. Good little gaggle that's going on. And whilst we watch those, I'm just going to take this quick opportunity to talk about our prizes, because points win prizes, and whilst we've got the chance to actually breathe for a second, we have a giveaway. We have some beautiful Thrustmaster THBA shifter as the prize for this round, and in order to be involved, you need to follow us on Twitch to be with a chance of winning. We've lowered the bar. People got scared sending pictures of them watching the stream last time. So this time, you simply need to follow us on Twitch for a chance to win that amazing shifter. And thank you very much to Thrustmaster for providing the potential for winning a prize. Lots of P's there. Do you fancy a shifter? Anyone fancy a new shifter?
See, I bought one the other day, well, a couple of weeks ago actually, and I bought one of these.
Got that receipt? You could still win.
I don't think I'm allowed to win it, am I? So it doesn't really matter. But it is in fact the same Thrustmaster 3PA or T3PA. No, it's not. They're the pedals. The same Thrustmaster shifter, because I can't remember code numbers, because you know, Dan. But it is a very nice shifter actually. I quite enjoy using it. It's it's very good in terms of its adaptability. It can be used as a straight shifter, you know, a proper sequential up or down, and in fact a full-on 7+1 full H pattern gearbox, which I find quite enjoyable to use in our Factor 2 with some of the cars, also in other ISI based engines such as Automobilista. We're being told P12 now, which as I quickly cycle through, in fact that's Breslin, he's moving up the inside, coming into Stowe. Umans just about holds it around the outside. They're literally tail to tail, nose to nose, and Ricciardo just takes position back once again. He went a long way around Stowe, having to defend it. Coming into the chicane, he does manage to maintain a position, but let's give a little bit of background for that. Coming out of Magus and Beckett, they were both side by side. They had the number 116 Aston Martin ahead of them, a very slow prototype on the circuit, which I couldn't quite see what that one is, and it was the number 24, which was going very slowly. They both had to go side by side, and luckily Umans just kept the positions, although the Redshift racing car, the number 006 car, coming into farm, the right-hander, the front right wheel looked like it just unloaded, which you don't want to damage those tyres too much, especially with the dynamic tyre wear in our Factor 2. Up towards Brooklands they come now once again. The number 006 has to defend a little bit, running deep into Brooklands, misses the apex slightly. The pressure may be getting to him, got him behind him, Mark Breslin in the number 4 Speedy Mike racing car. And so far the gap between the pair of them is only 0.3 of a second. It might close in, we've got the toe obviously, but up to Cops, you're not really going to make a move up there, so you just got to bide your time and wait. Up towards Magus and Beckett, if you encounter a laps car around here, that could be fatal. There's no one really around their area though to have much of a discerning difference, so Breslin holds back a little bit. The aero draft coming from the front of the number 006 car isn't really going to be helping him through Magus and Beckett's, but onto the hanger straight once again. Into the toe. He moves to driver's right hand side. Breslin pulls out to driver's left. Is he going to try around the outside coming into Stowe now? I certainly think he might have a go. Not quite going to work. Can it work? He's trying it. Doesn't look like it will. He's about got his nose ahead though, up towards the chicane. Doesn't leave it as late as he dares. Lock up from the front. That's not going to help the tyres at all. But crucially, hasn't taken a position. This is letting Smarter in the number 24 car all the way through back up to them. So it's going to be a 3-car battle for 11th in just a moment's time.
Absolutely fascinating stuff. But whilst all that's been going on, Richard Reckman has parked his car and is disconnected at the moment. So that's our first problem with the team. They've already dropped down to last. We've also had a pit stop from Emmanuel Taffinode, who's rejoined in 28th and a lap down. So that's very early for him. Matt Horst has still not come in for his drive-through penalty either. As here
Yes,
comes the trio once again. Is in now, sorry. As Breslin has
Mike Davies is in as well.
Breslin up on the inside, not quite working. He's then got on the outside for the next corner. This is the kind of preferred line for lapping people, not necessarily for overtaking. And he's going to have to be cross-eyed as quickly as he knows it, because Smarter's right up behind, 13th position. These guys are 45 seconds away from the leader. Brzezinski now 9 seconds clear of Burke, Watts and Harth. And it looks like this is gearing up for another hanger straight attack as they come into the complex.
And more critically though, it's 3 of them. This is what's going to make it more interesting. The BMW of it was Mike Davies, I believe. Was in a way. Oh my goodness! Oh, he's on the top of him. He's mounted him. Oh dearie me. That's not entertaining viewing, I suppose. Let's go and have a bit of a look at what happened there. So Megan
Before
Beckett,
the watershed.
It is Mark. Oh, I see. So it's just a turnaround. You know when I said, I think it was just a lap ago when I said the aero push you're going to get from these cars is not brilliant. You know, if you're stuck behind someone in those high-speed corners, you're going to lose a feeling. And already as he goes to turn left, the rear of the car's broken away. By the time he tries to catch it, he's going slowly, slides on the grass, and unfortunately, Smarter just caught him at the wrong point, which could mean actually he might have a bit of damage to the nose of his car. It looks like he's running fine, but that's not nice to see. Breslin continuing though, so that's all good. And currently, can't see. Yeah, in fact, Mike Davies is back out of the pit lane. He's got 2 P2 cars behind him. And in fact, that's our race leader, the number 17. In fact, that's not our race leader, ignore me. The number 17 just going past him at that moment. Let me say. So, as we look now, it's Baldy and Pizzo who are in, Pizzo in 5th and 6th. Contact there with the BMW. The BMW runs wide on the exit of the Mackers and Beckett's complex. And that's a little nudge as they're battling away up towards the hanger straight, onto the hanger straight they come now. Gonna look around the outside, won't work. Maybe a late lunge up the inside coming into Stowe. Thinks twice about it. Off, on the brakes. Let's just double check it. It's also got a slow moving car. That's one of the Ferraris, and that's the number 121 car who's come into the pit lane. We saw a BMW in a moment ago. Now though, we've seen a Ferrari in as well. So yes, that's Mikolos in the pit lane now, and it will be not too long, I imagine, in 10 minutes or so, until we start seeing the 5 to 10 minutes or so, that we will start seeing the P2 cars into the pit lane. They can only really last, I've been told, around 45 minutes on a full tank of fuel. Tyres won't be the issue, the fuel is though, so that's going to be an interesting dynamic throughout the entirety of the race.
Richard Weckman has rejoined the race. He's 4 laps down, but that gets that team back on out in again. Tilla Mikos is in the pits and serving a long stop. So that's kind of the first one. It doesn't look. It must be damage related because he really did limp in, didn't he? As what's this? This is 3rd and 4th. Yeah, it is 3rd and 4th. Johan Harth has lost 3 seconds on Tom Watts, and they're having a bit of trouble lapping some traffic as they come into the complex. Tom Watts has not been this close in the RC car to the back of the Driller's car in 3rd position for many a lap. The 2 of them filter their way through the complex. No mounting this time, fellas. Thank you very much. It's the kind of thing I save for private viewing later. Down the hanger straight as they go. Saladek well up, clear ahead. They won't catch him until after this corner. But Watts not close enough to have a go. I don't know if Johan just had a really unlucky lap in actual traffic, but he's lost 4 seconds over Brzezinski over the course of this lap, and Watts has closed right onto the back of him. Those two were inseparable earlier in the race. I can imagine them being relatively close again now, so keep an eye on that one.
Yes, by all means we will, because it is looking to develop like a very fascinating little battle.
Mike Davies is back into the pits.
Mike Davis is back in the pits. We've also got, okay, thanks very much for that, Joseph. We've also got Danny Ruggier into the pit lane as well. Now, bearing in mind he stopped on that one, so 2 stops in around about 35 minutes. Maybe he's short-fueled it to try and make some track position and now coming into the pit lane. So, as you say, we've got 1 BMW and 1 P2 car in as well. So, that's going to be an interesting... actually, an interesting fuel stop and also an interesting...
We've got a car
parking.
off.
Oh, we
Sorry, Victor Irulia Garrido in 31st position, just rejoining. He's gone off down at turn 3 and 4. Rejoined it quite nicely again.
Oh,
contact.
He was taken out at the inside, yeah.
There was contact. The 114.
117 car is the one that was off, but yeah, it's not fab.
Let's have
No,
a
it's
look.
taken out by Matt Horse there. So by the look of it, it was Matt Horse going for the inside, and unfortunately it didn't really work out because the 117 just turned in.
Yeah. He seems
Sorry, I was just going to say, it just seems like their driving lines just merged into one.
Yeah, I think having a look at it, if you say he must have gone up the inside, saw the Corvette ran wide, the Corvette maybe didn't quite see that the Porsche had the line, and as a direct result, he unfortunately a bit of contact was made. Luckily, they're still going, but I'm sure if there was anything that needs to be looked at, Race Control will decide whether there will be anything that needs to be looked at about that. But not good to see, even in these early stages of the races, some little bits of contact like that. But it does happen in the tightness of the racing. It is not inevitable, but it happens. And also, we have someone else who was asleep, but he's no longer asleep. I'll let him introduce himself if he's not asleep.
Well, my name is Lorenzo Bonder. I'm the half asleep, half awake, and also I'm hungry, and I'm not as half drunk as you guys think I am right now. But hello.
Well, good evening, Lorenzo. How are you doing? How was your nap?
It was a good nap, 3 hours, 4 hours, just like a professional driver. But don't take me wrong, I'm not even professional, not even
and
amateur.
contact.
Yeah,
There's
more
contacts.
contact, redshift again, and this time it's a prototype car.
Definitely, it was. Looked
With
like
the same car, wasn't it? It looked like
Yeah.
it's with the same car.
I don't think the Corvette was involved though.
No, it looks like he's just lost it on his end. The Corvette was involved in the end of it. The redshift slides across out of the corner, and unfortunately that 117 car collected him. Doesn't look like too much damage though added on.
No, that was sorry to interrupt you there, Lorenzo. But yes, it was slight driving mistake there, I believe, from him. Locks up the front brakes, just couldn't quite get it stopped. Nearly tags the Porsche in avoidance, then tries to go left. Unfortunately, the Corvette sort of collects him, so it's these sorts of things happen, I'm afraid. But yes, so Lorenzo, you're not quite as drunk as we think we are, as drunk as you are. You're not quite tired, but you're also not a professional driver. Are you going to be joining us then? Are you going to be racing in the race later on today, or will you be coming to join us in the commentary booth as well? Or?
Well, if you guys want action and you want to see survival, of course I'm not gonna drive. I did some laps. I just couldn't get the hang of the car and the track itself. So I let the guys who have better pace and more knowledge with the track to handle it, which is gonna be Enzo, which is driving right now, and Mateus Machado, which is gonna try out the 3 final hours.
There we go then. Well, it'll be good to hear from you. It'll be good to see if we can see you on track as well, as you say. But nonetheless, an extra body in the commentary box. What's not to like? So, 5 hours and 20 minutes of the race left to go. 40 minutes then elapsed, and the gap between Kuba Brzezinski in the number 25 Feeder Ragnar Simulator car is 14.6 seconds now between Shane Burke in the number 2 Simtech Motorsport car. Third place overall, Johan Haar is in the number 17 Drillers Motorsport car, 18.1 seconds behind the leaders, 6.7 seconds behind Shane Burke. Tom Watts now up into 4th place in the number 11 MK Simsport car, and P5 is Daniele Pizzo in the number 14 Syncania Endurance Motorsport car. Now, 6th and 7th, that goes between Damien Baldy and Adam Hodgkinson in the number 16 Team Comet and number 15 Atlantic Motorsport cars respectively. Why do I mention them not hesitantly, why do I say them quite excitedly? Well, they're currently in the midst of a battle through the final corner, and over the line they go now. The gap between the pair of them, it was much closer, however now currently 0.5 seconds up towards Albion Farm Complex now, and it's extended just a little bit, but nonetheless it is looking quite tight. And Adam Hodgkinson, who did have a good start to the race, is going to be enjoying this little scrap at the moment in his car, and I believe in the next 5 minutes or so we are due to start seeing people into the pit lane.
I'm having a look down at the GT field and looking at Kasper Stoltz. In 22nd, he got by Alvaro Baker a couple of laps ago and has put some distance on him, and he is closing in on Stefan Kanitz quite rapidly.
Very
Right.
rapidly, actually, as they go around the
Up
South
towards
African
Cops.
looking car for me. And that looks like he's going to go down the inside of
And he
Stefan.
is.
Yeah,
He
straight
is.
away. Nicely done. Stoltz there up into 21st position ahead of Kanitz. They're 2 laps down from the big guns up front, but actually Yuri Kastop is not that far up the road. And they've got a couple of P cars between them and Terzic. Terzic's really dominating in the GT category at the moment. But that battle is then catching up on the Baldy battle and Hodgkinson battle for 6th and 7th. So it's like we've got all of our people together at one point, which is quite nice. So yeah, enjoy.
It's quite fascinating actually, and in fact Terzic's going that quickly. He's passed 2 of the prototype cars. He's got obviously the gap between himself and Muggio is
We
Not
see
bad.
Ian Kasper Stoltz there dives into the pit lane from P21 after making that move.
there we go. Yep, into the pit lane he comes. That's quite an interesting time to actually come in, I think, because it's not too late on. It'll maybe he's got a bit of a splash and dash. I personally think that's what he might be doing, but the P cars anyway we'll be seeing very shortly indeed, because they won't have much left in the tanks, I believe.
Yeah, but he's putting tires in and probably fuel, so he went with the soft tire stint, which over here it gives you at least half a second if you drive it properly, but the consumption of tire wear is quite heavy on this track if you overdrive some parts, especially still in Meggins and Beckett's.
There we go then. So that's what Lorenzo Bodnar is considering. He thinks the strategy could be that. That is quite an interesting one, because I've heard a couple of people discussing different tyre types and the fuel as well. And the softs, as you say, circuit conditions I believe currently are about 20 degrees, track temperature 16 air. So they're not. It's not too warm. So maybe it's a case of having to actually try and get some good temperature into the tyres, as well as we move down to 11th and 12th, as you say. So that's Smarda and Breslin coming through Cops now, and we've got the Speedy White Racing car ahead or behind the Team RGPL car up towards Marcus and Beckett. They've gone past one of the GTE Corvettes, and in fact Mark Breslin's got to stop behind him effectively, which means Umant is going to close in the Redshift car, the number 006 car. So all of a sudden, what was a battle for 11th and 12th could be the battle for 12th and 13th. This is what traffic does to you guys.
These two have form as Uman's goes down and laps our Panda team. Love that name. Some drivers are locking up now into the club corner, and Breslin was just another one of them. I've noticed that over the last couple of laps, as they come towards the end of the stint of their tyres, kind of starting to go, oh well, I've not got much grip left to use, let's go for it anyway. Just to bring up the point that Lorenzo was making, and Roy might be good to come in on this one as well. It's is there anywhere around here where fuel saving works?
I honestly, I really don't know. Like, you can try to go for fuel saving, but you're on this track. It's quite complicated to do such thing. But if you can achieve, you can actually just gain probably 3 laps if you try to go for fuel saving. You could extend for maybe a total hour, which would be the absolute optimal case, but you never know. It's quite complicated. By the way, Johan Hart is going to the pits right now.
So Johan Hart is the first of our race leaders to come into the pit lane. It will be an interesting one to see. We're obviously seeing Shane Burke and Brzezinski staying out.
Yeah, we have Damian Body and Adrian Biela coming in as well.
Clearly, this is the lap.
This is it. So we've got people who are staying out. Sabila, the Biela in as well. So as you say, Baldy in as well, and Van der Sloot also into the pit lane. So this was around the time that was predicted.
Nate Iden's in as well, as is Mark Breslin and Ricardo Uman. So plenty of them going around. The odd one out is Zednik Smada, who's gone around for another one, maybe to see if he can try and do an overcut or something like that. And Baccio obviously continued on, moving up to 6th and 7th respectively as Van der Sloot leaves.
And here we go, we've got Brzezinski who's coming up towards Stowe now. So it's going to be an interesting one. Is he going to come in this lap? I expect he's going to come in this lap. On the exit of Stowe he goes. No, he stays out again. He's out for another lap, is Brzezinski. So he must be doing a really good job. 48 minutes into this race. It's going to be 50 minutes into this race by the time we potentially see Brzezinski in once again. And the guys in the pit lane, well, they've just lost a lap. As Brzezinski comes out now ahead of Baldy. So
Burke is in.
And Burke is in now as well. So it must be the race leader being the odd one out, as he's the only one yet to actually come in.
I just want to quickly mention here, so I was just going to say, I want to mention the fact that we've seen Mike Davies come into the pits a number of times. What we thought was a splash and dash, it's not. It is the fact that he's extended track limits, but every time he now runs just slightly wide off of the circuit, he is getting stop and go penalties.
So you know when I said earlier that you've got to be careful in the British circuits because of track limits?
That's exactly what we're seeing, and it seems now that he's got one stop and go penalty for exceeding the track limits, but every time he now goes over that white line, he's getting another one every single time, which is making it very difficult for him.
Smada and Van der Sloot are back in now as well, so that could be an interesting one. Have they been track limits warnings?
Smada's his first time in, so he chose to not pit last lap round, so that's his first go in. But that's the second pit lane in a row in 2 laps for Van der Sloot, so I wonder if that is.
Speeding in the pit lane, he's stopped on his box.
So maybe he forgot to do something. Maybe he forgot to change something in his pit menu.
Dennis Marquardt is in for Racing Panda as well.
But Breslin's in now as well. Brzezinski, though, stayed out once again.
Going very fast and very long on tank fuel.
Yeah, it's but also Adam Hodgkinson I don't think's pitted. Neither is Pizzo. Tom Watts, I'm not entirely sure whether he has or hasn't, but
he might not have not, but he's feeling the tires because Danny is putting much better laps.
in now. He's coming. So yeah, he's his pit stop's ready. Into the pit lane now comes Tom Watts in second place. So too does Baccio in coming to my screen is 5th and 4th at the moment. So
Oh, and let's see, Mark Breslin is standing slightly skewed in the pit box and hit by Mark once when he tries to leave his pit box right behind him.
oh dear.
10 pin bolt.
And he's
Oh,
had
his
to wait
smart
there
is
the
off the
entire
track.
time. That GT car having to hold for about maybe 10 seconds longer than his pit stop, because you saw his moment the prototype moved, he was able to move.
Yeah.
Well, you try and come in as straight as you can. So let's. Yeah, so Breslin just pulls out. They both have to pull out. A little bit of contact, as you say. And Breslin taps a wall on the left-hand side of the pit as tries to try and get out of the way as Kasdorf now comes in the Aston Martin, the number. I think that's the 108 car, which of course is the 108, which is the Apex Eclipse car.
On 12th position, Alistair Long just found this is the next Mazda in the middle of main and brackets.
Okay, let's go. We'll go and have a look at that. Also, Brzezinski once again has stayed out. I just don't. How is he going that quickly without any fuel? As Van der Sloot back in again. So there's got to be something amiss here because he's come in 3 times in a row now, I'm pretty sure. So that's a slight concern for him to be coming in. Poor old Sherwin, who now stops on his pit box. I'm not entirely sure what that could be for, but oh, and round has gone Alistair Long. There's been contact with Alistair Long and one of the Porsches. That's Horst. That's coming on the exit of the final corner. Replay here, whole gaggle of cars. Pizzo behind Alistair Long in 12th. Slight contact there from Pizzo and Long. Pulling to the right hand side and through the final corner. A slight nudge again as he's off the throttle is Alistair. Slight nudge from Horst in the Porsche. And that's enough to spin them both around, and Buggy has to avoid that collision. And Horst had a big incident into the wall, a little bit, quite a big hit actually. So it's all spicing up all of a sudden.
Another driver who was having his own little mini incident was Fermin Primavito, who's just rejoined from a pit lane in 14th position. He clobbered the pit on the way in, but just
the way in.
Yeah, I don't know how he managed it, but he hit the pit lane on the way in and didn't seem to pit. So he's been in and out again. So I don't know if that was a drive-through for something specifically, but yeah, he conked that one, which was less than ideal. And he's since one ride on a couple of corners, so he's not fixed any damage if he did have some. So he might be walking a little bit wounded out there at the moment.
I'm just back out of the pit box again and again and again.
Alright, let me tell you what happened to Sherwin.
Yeah.
I just talked with Sherwin. He mentioned that both times when he got cold tires, he managed to get a cut 2 times, so that's why he pitted. Fixing track limits.
Okay. Certainly an interesting one. I'm also trying to figure out why Brzezinski's still not been into the pit lane. He's going very well indeed. Is John Suter down in 13th place now into the pit lane. Primitivo into the pit lane once again as well.
This now makes much more sense for Primitivo. He didn't turn in to his pit box and then clouted the wall. So I think he may have come in, realised how sharp it was, and then kind of had a bit of a moment and clonked it into the wall itself. So at least he's in and he's sorted this time along with John Suter.
Here
He's the
we
next
go.
car ahead, and here comes Brzezinski in now. And whilst he pops into the pits, I think that's a perfect opportunity to remind us of our sponsor, Thrustmaster, with a quick little ad on some of the stuff that they do. Apologies for that. It's Vesaro. It's because we've got two wonderful sponsors. That's what confuses me. Welcome back to the Le Mans series here at Race Department, but by Vesaro, and we're here for the Thrustmaster 6 hours of Silverstone, and we're into hour 2 pretty much, with our leader Brzezinski into the pits for his running team. That's popped Daniel Pizzo into the lead now. Pit stop affected. So a nice new name at the front because Cooper has led every single lap and every single minute up to now. So that's fantastic to see. Thank you for joining us here on the Le Mans series here. If you're on Twitch, keep on chatting away, and don't forget to follow us on Twitch for your chance to win some wonderful Thrustmaster, or a Thrustmaster shifter. If you're on Twitter, don't forget the hashtag is RDLMS. I want to know exactly what's been going on with you today. And someone popped in the chat, and I really love it. It was Grind C actually. If anyone's got any really old sim racing equipment, send us a photo of it. I want to see. We can ooh and ah about them on the stream when things settle down a little later on. And if you're also watching us live on Facebook, you can just get a hug from us because no one's there. Alongside me, my name is Simon Smith, dragging you kicking and screaming through the next 5 hours left of this race. We've got Davey on cameras as 6th and 7th go into battle with Subella and Bulby. And alongside me is Dan Marr, Joseph Wright, Lorenzo Bonda and Roy Magnus at the moment. And let's get us a treat. Put your teeth in, Smithy. Between Adrian Subiela and Damien Bulby for 6th and 7th. Once again, at it like squirrels in these prototype cars.
Yeah, Baldy was in 6th place, holding it basically on his own, but faced a lap-long pressure from Subiela, and the driver from the World of Sim Racing team just made a move. Very dangerous move, I'm gonna be quite honest, on Vale, but managed to go to sink it in and basically make the move. I say dangerous because it was not only a near dive bomb, but it was very close to Body's car. Everything could have gone wrong to the Spanish driver.
We've had a driver swap, have we, in the Aston Martins with Amedeo Fiorella?
Yes. Welcome to the race.
That was the car that was leading the GT category, wasn't it?
Yeah. You are absolutely correct. So Amedeo Fiorella, welcome to the race. I'm surprised they let that other driver out of the car. He was absolutely kicking it. I would have chained him to his steering wheel and said, you ain't leaving until the 6 hours are up, mate. You can go to the toilet in a potty or a nappy.
Rasmus Stoltz is moving fast. He is catching up to Victor Iruela Garrido in the Corvette.
Tom Watts
Ninth and
finally in the
30th.
pits as well, or leaving the pits, sorry. He's rejoining in 5th position, and actually he's going to come out right in front of this Subella and Boldy battle. And this could be tricky because he's going to be on cold tyres. Adrian Subella goes straight in, locks up and runs out wide, manages to avoid contact there with Tom Watts. But that puts him straight onto his rear heel in relation to Damien Boldy as they come out through the complex. But Panda Racing stuck in the middle, moves out of the way, and that could well relieve itself status quo. Tom Watts overall though, remember he was busy battling with Johan Harth earlier on. He's lost 23 seconds by staying out that longer, but over the course of pit stops, that could mean that he pits one less stop and therefore could gain a whole bunch of time depending on where he goes with tyre strategy and so on in the future. So swings
But
and
it's the
roundabouts.
longest facing the wrong way.
Yeah, it's in a Vale, and it's not a position you want to actually go. Spin your car around on club. But here he's back, and to furthermore he's paying, he just got a drive-through penalty.
Well, he was popping a lap on Russell, but there was no contact there whatsoever, so that seemed to be all of his own doing. Thankfully, though, for Alistair, to a degree, he waited until there was a little mini gap before Breslin came round, before rejoining. But yes, he might want to see if he can try and get that penalty removed. I think that's because it cut the first part of the club corner, I'd imagine. So yeah, poor Alistair Long. If I remember rightly, Alistair Long didn't have much luck last time round either. So hopefully we'll get into the swing of things and get going.
And 24th position, we have a battle between Yuri Kazarov and Zafazi. And if both drivers work it out, they're even gonna have a position battle for 23rd with Michael Sedlacek not far in front of him.
Yeah, in fact, look at that with Fozzie in 24th there, side by side. That was careful there with Yuri Kastov. He's gets ahead there, Enzo Fazzi, in the beautiful yellow talking door racing car as they dive through. Yuri Kastov, of course, Yuri was originally second in this class before pit stops and so on and so forth. So he then dropped back. He's been trying to get back up through the field again, having another look at Fuzzy round the outside. Down at Stowe, that's never normally a good one to go for because the door normally closes because you automatically just kind of drift out wide as a stop go penalty is removed from Mike Davis. Saladek has just pitted just ahead of them, so that removes another person out of the equation. But they've got to be careful because previous race leader Amadeo Fiorella is coming up behind them, and that team as a whole are faster, so that could prove another place for Yuri Kastop to try and get past Enzo Fazzi later in the lap.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be very honest over here really quickly. Deep down inside, Yuri and Enzo are loving this battle. They're both Dutch. They know each other, so deep down inside, they're loving this battle.
Well, their Dutch dongs are going to be absolutely huge by the end of this because they are going, I was going to say 3 wide down at the end there, but side by side for the 3rd corner in a row, Yuri Kastor and Enzo Fozzi there, keeping it nice and clean. This is the battling that we love to see here at Race Department. Round the outside goes Yuri. That was 4 corners or 5 corners in the making, and a beautiful move there from Yuri Kastor to move up into 23rd position currently at the moment. But that will have big ramifications if he can pull away just a smidgeroo a little bit later on. As for the second time this evening, or today, sorry, I don't know why I'm thinking this evening already, clearly I'm in drink mode, Richard Reckman has disconnected out. So that team having all kinds of issues, and they're the only team to have done so. So it really is on them at the moment. Stefan Kanitz in the pits as well. He was 3rd in class for GT earlier on. So that's going to be a crucial one to see where he pops out.
It is pit stop time for most of the GT cars, it seems, with quite a lot of them in and out of the pits now over the last minute or so.
Absolutely, yeah. Mark Greenall was just popping in as well, down in 22nd position. In fact, yeah, the pit lane's a little bit chocker with Emmanuel Taffinode in there as well. He's a prototype car, however. Alistair Long back in again. And it gets a little bit carnaged in there. Will we run into the point of shared pit boxes, do you think, this race?
Ooh, and if I was Danny Pizzo, I would be hating his pit stop right now.
Oh, there's a prototype underneath Mark Reno's car trying to get out of his pit box there.
That is Danny Pizzo. He basically can blame Mark Reno's position for loss of time over there.
Oh yeah, most of the cars are heading into that pit lane. You've seen that almost all of them are going into that sideways angle, which is disadvantaging the drivers just behind in the pit box, because the moment they're trying to come out, they can't. They're stuck, and you saw that just then, and you saw it earlier on.
And we got actually a battle for 8th place between Charles oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Damien. That was close. But we got Adam Hodgkinson actually running out the back of Charles Baccia really soon. The gap is really close. It's half a second between the French and the British driver. Let's see if Adam has the pace. Actually, he's a better driver in terms of pace compared to Charles, so everything is possible for a move.
just having some questions about what the prizes that are on offer here. So I'll just quickly run over that again. If something juicy is going on the track, just shout over me and I'll stop. The prize is for a Thrustmaster shifter today for the Silverstone race here on Race Department. And in order to win or be in with a chance of winning that Thrustmaster shifter, you need to follow us on Twitch. That is all you need to do. We will then do a random selection from the people that followed us, and you'll be contacted after the broadcast to get your mitts on a beautiful prize. I don't think there's anything else that you need to do at all. Daniele Pizzo back into the pits. He went off down the straight, down the hangar straight. I don't know what was going on there. I wonder if that's residual damage or something from something else, but he's back into the pits, second lap in a row, and that's annoying for Daniele Pizzo because he was looking quite juicy for a top 5.
Might be some damage from the exit with the car ahead of him. And Matt Horst is coming into the pits, and he is... I'm not really sure what he's doing.
He basically botched in a very heavy fashion in his pits, and I'm gonna be even more bold. I think he's gonna get a penalty for exceeding track, not track, but pit stop speed.
The etiquette of it. Mind you, Matt Horst has racked up more penalties than I've had shots of alcohol today, so he's
talking about
doing
alcohol.
a fab job.
I'm gonna grab myself a beer, and it's the 11:20 in Brazil. Yes.
You are a man.
No. That is actually not called a man. That is actually called. That's how I wake up people.
Yes, P6 there. Charles Baccio has got Adam Hodgkinson behind. This is pit stop effective. Baccio yet to come. No, he must have been in at some point. Surely.
Yeah, yes.
Yes, he has. On lap 27, he popped in last time round. But Baccio there has kind of jumped up through the pit stop phases because the Talking Door Racing team were at the lower ends of the top 10 at best earlier on. So that's really helped them kind of pop up and through again. So Charles Baccio punching slightly above his actual speed at the moment. But Hodgkinson has got to do the daring and find a way through. And you can't be too long about it because Boldy's not too far behind and will be closing them down, especially whilst they get through this traffic. And that's not gone well at all for Baccio. He hits one, Hodgkinson hits the other. Round goes the GT car of Victor Irelo Garrido. He's then back ahead of, he's got back going again, but he's immediately chopping off Damien Boldy. Case of wrong place, wrong time for people?
Yeah, very much look like it. And it has moved Subiela right up into the mix as well.
Right, it has actually, as Richard Reckman rejoined the race to get his team back on out there again. Although I would say that Reckman's race is wrecked at the moment with all of those things. I need to get my instruments back out. But yeah, that really has brought Adrian Subiela right up onto the back of Adrian Hopkinson. I'm mating them, Adam Hodgkinson. And once again, we're going into complexes with cars in the middle of things, and you've got to strike that balance between being dastardly and dangerous, but also being patient and safe. And I think that line moves from corner to corner.
Yeah, oh, slow pit stop. No, sorry, the slow cars in the loop. I only caught him at the back of the screen there. Was that Johan Harth?
Seems to be closing in.
He's running okay for me at the minute. We'll keep an eye on that and bring that to you. Who's that poking out to have a look? It's Subiela into turn 1 on Hodgkinson. He's down deep. That's not going to help. As Turano there pops out from the pits in the background. They make their way round our GT leader, who will probably pop back into that again once the pit stops have sorted themselves out. Oh, he hits Damien Patel, not Patel, Boldy.
Oh dear.
And that did not work very well. And that was a little bit of a lunge from a way back there from Boldy slightly. But Fiorella keeps going. He doesn't want to do more of that because that car needs to be in good condition if he wants to keep the lead of the GT category.
That's all happening now, isn't it?
It is a bit juicy. Baccio again there. He's got... Oh, that's always an awkward one. You're lapping a GT and a prototype at the same time. Ruggia, sorry, they're down into Cops, not wanting to move over straight away. There he is now, and making a defined move to do so. But that's not helping Hodgkinson, who's also got Subiela alongside. Subiella's going to dive through into the complex, gets ahead just about. That was a nice opportunistic move. Traffic affected. Adrian then moves up into 6th position. Hodgkinson down to 7. And that, I think, will make his team extremely happy there. World of Sim Racing up into 6th. Atlantic down to 7. And wow, I wonder if there is a world of people cheering on the World of Sim Racing team, because they'll be having a little clap there.
You'll never know.
And we did have someone in the chat Twitch were wondering where the purple Norwegian Ferrari is. It was on the screen right now. It has a red and blue livery this time around.
We are all in mourning for this lack of purple livery. Oh, someone's off. That is Saladek. Has hit the barrier coming out of not Priory. The end of the first complex lot. You've had to go out quite wide to hit the barrier there. I don't know how he's managed it. There's quite a lot of gravel to stop you, but he's made it there. But he's still going.
He went straight on the exit of the corner. It looks like he was losing the rear end slightly through the right-hander before, and then got to the end of the corner. He just went straight. And it just put him straight into the wall. It was only the end of the tyre barrier, so there wasn't much damage, and yeah, he got straight back onto the track again.
More GT cars in the pit lane with Miguel Angel Piqueras and Edson Archella.
We got a battle for P25. This is Enzo Fazzi and Casper Stoltz still going around. Stoltz is on the rear of Fazzi at the moment, looking for a way through out of the first complex of corners. He's going to head up towards Stowe. He's going to try his hardest to make a move through, but with the collection of corners coming up, there's really no overtake. He moves to the inside though of Fazzi, and he's not quite going to be able to make a way through. Casper Stoltz having to hold it in 26 at the moment, chasing down that yellow Corvette.
These two are glued together. They'd already sorted themselves out earlier. Now they're back again. clearly having a loving full-on Dutch going on. And they've got to be careful because there's our overall leader coming around to lap them for the 4th time of asking. Past Stoltz, past Fuzzy, and they'll continue on. Canitz, though, has been in the pits and come out ahead of them.
Contact between the two of them.
Now, boys. It's been so good up till now. Stop it.
What
You really
Got
think,
tyres away.
you really think you're going to be able to stop them from here?
I can wave my whaley moves around. It might distract them for a split second. But actually Enzo is the one that really lost out there because he's been plopped off wide. But we've seen that a few times actually throughout this where it didn't even look like they were attempting, they were side by side and then they've kind of drifted into each other a little bit. And we've seen that quite a lot, and I wonder if it's just people looking a little bit further ahead and what they're actually doing in that split second. Because as a driver, you're always looking that few bits of a second ahead, and it's almost as if you've zoned out what's happening alongside you. Does anyone else have that problem?
Not normally, but
Looking a little bit further down between position 33, 34 and 35, Victor Irvela Garrido, Mike Davis and Mats Horst are also breathing down each other's neck.
Matt Horst will probably have a penalty this lap again. So that'll ruin that battle. Roy, can you just say Victor's name again? Because that sounds absolutely lush.
Victor Iruelo Garrido,
Ah.
I believe it is. Yeah.
If there's one thing I never thought I would see is a Norwegian guy having Spanish accent. Things and things.
Well, there's
Lucky strike.
there's a great battle between Greenall and Sophie coming up towards 28 down at Brooklands. Greenall moved up the inside going through the farm complex before then making the move on the exit of the corner, made his way up on the straight, and now the Corvette is ahead of the Aston Martin, now up into 28th for the TXL Racing 103, ahead of the 122 Gentleman Racers Spirit car.
I think we should start talking about other things because this is going rather quiet at the moment here.
Too quiet.
Simon,
So
do
it's
your wonderful stuff and talk about random things.
Now's where I go into my own. No, I was just looking actually. New fastest lap for Shane Burke that he's done so far this race, which is interesting. I was just looking at who's been like pulling up and down on gaps and so on and so forth, and actually. As Damien Boldy's off, he's lost it at the exit of. Did he hit the barriers? It's gone out of my view, but yeah, he's coming back onto the track down the Hannah Straight, 8th position. But he just caught the exit.
Massive
curve.
hit with the barriers, huge hit.
Yeah, mate.
That was not great. I've done that in other formula of racing, and normally you don't have all wheels attached when you hit that barrier, so you must be thankful. He's carrying on, but is he coming into the pits? No, he's not.
No, he's carrying on.
I'd be interested to see exactly how far he pulls away from Ruggier behind, because that car is generally a little bit slower than Boldy, and if he can't kind of pull away from him, then we know that he's walking wounded and we'll have to sort it out. But that was an almighty hit, and he'll be taking a few laps, I'd imagine, to get himself back up to full speed before he attacks that corner like that again.
Really quickly, we have a three-way battle in P5.
It's between Baccio Sabida, Sabiela and Hodgkinson, and that was a really good little tight battle coming through the first part of the complex. They're coming through Lovefield and Woodcote now. A little bit of a gap now between them. There's a good couple of car lengths, but nonetheless it was looking quite entertaining. Coming up towards the line, certainly there were 3 abreast almost. It was quite something to watch, and as they come up towards Cox, the Ligier doesn't seem to favour this part of the course that much, I'm saying. That's what I think the interesting thing is.
Yes, ooh, nearly Adam Hodgkinson catching a backmarker GT driver, but that's where one position you really don't want to pass. You really want to avoid having troubles on the on magazine brackets, because that is dangerous. Try to make a move, and Adam just got the worst of it. Like, he basically lost at least a second and a half to Adrian right now.
It's the ultimately worst place, I think, as you say, Lorenzo, to try and catch someone, because you can't, if you don't quite have the corner speed, you can't just drive around them. It's quite difficult to actually brake and stop in time. So you sort of go into it and you put the brakes on and think, am I really going to be able to do this though? Just about retains it though, so nonetheless it's did make it all fine though, so we don't have to worry too much about that. But as they come up towards Cops now, looking at the battle for second, Shane Burke in second place. You've got Hart all over the back of him now as well, but it's looking quite close as they come through the final parts of Magnus and Beckett. And I think this is going to be an interesting one to watch as they come out the corner now. In the toe, he's quite far back in terms of a good 0.8 seconds between Hart and Burke. But that could close in. We've seen that the Drillers Motorsport car is on par with the Simtech car. It doesn't help that Shane runs quite deep through the corner. But nonetheless, as they come through the final parts of this lap, they're looking quite close, and I think it is going to be an interesting one. So, We've also got Baker into the pit lane at the moment. The Aston Martin, the number 124 car, which is the... In fact, no, it's the 121 car, I do apologise, which is the RC Motorsport team car of Vero Baker in the pit lane currently. And can you believe this? 26.3 seconds is the gap between Kuba Brzezinski and Shane Berg. You've done an astronomically good job in this opening part of the Thrustmaster 6 hours of Silverstone, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic, and it's also been able to stretch his fuel mileage up quite a substantial bit longer than most of the other prototypes that were around him as well.
He has.
It's a really proper good drive for Brzezinski.
It is. His stints in the car so far have been absolutely fantastic, and it's going to be interesting to see how he gets on with the rest of the race. Of course, we're only quite early on in the race, so there's plenty that can, and I imagine still will, happen. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on. And I'm just trying to look throughout the order, as you say. Trying to have a look and see what's going on. And currently, the battle for 5th place is looking quite tasty. Baccio and Sabila currently coming through the old pit straight now, up towards Cops. Can't quite make a move. He's going to look at it once or twice. Thinks better of it in this instance. Drifts a little bit wide, does Adrian in the number 5 quads World of Sim Racing Team car. Talking Door Racing ahead of him once again. That Ligier, the yellow Ligier, you can't miss him around the circuit, but he's doing a good job to try and hold on to it. Runs quite deep through the Magnussen Beckett's complex, so that's going to compromise his exit onto the hangar straight in the toe. Not quite going to be able to make it, but he is going to make a good couple of miles an hour and a good couple of car lengths on him, which is still a good thing. Final chicane now, lap 43 these two are on.
And Peter Stockman has rejoined the race after being disconnected for a little while.
Ah, that's a shame. So he's 14 laps down on the race leader, 7 laps behind the 123 DR Motorsport car of Daryl Russell.
Big crash going on to the main straight.
And that was for who?
Cars. I don't know who it was. I saw it in the background.
I think it was one of the Ligiers.
13th is at least involved in it.
Oh, Enzo Fazzi and Ivan.
It was Mike Davies. Mike Davies in a prototype. I'm not too sure who the prototype was.
Let's go and if I can find Mike Davies on circuit. Could it be Alistair Long maybe? Yes, it was. It was Alistair Long. Let's go and have a look. So Alistair Long. So first of all, this is a massive chain of happenings. So Uman's ahead of Alistair Long. Up towards the second part of Farm, late lunge up the inside, no way you can get through there. Leaves it as late as he dares. By the time Umans has already turned in, Alistair rears lock up, contact between the pair of them, so they rejoin. So they're rejoining him fine. Alistair Long gets up to speed. He's on driver's left hand side. Mike Davies maybe not seeing him, ever so slight touch, but that just brings them both round again. So Alistair Long lost a good couple of positions, a whole host of track time. Poor Mike Davies, you've got to feel sorry for him, who was the poor victim of something that really wasn't his fault. But yeah, that's definitely not a good thing at all. Luckily, they've all rejoined and it should be fine. So
yeah, and we have Christian Moreau, which is his teammate and manager for the team.
Subiela and Baccio
in the director's box, so we can see a test coming up.
And yes, there's been a change for 5th place. Adrian Sabila has actually made it through in the number 5 car ahead of Baccio in the number 008 car. So that happened up towards, just redoing it. So coming into the final chicane, Sabila was on the left hand side, Baccio on the right. just gets to the outside line, a little bit more grip. Mike Davies is ahead of them. Oh, a little bit of contact between the two of them to put him off. So Beeler then laps Davies on the grass and over the white line. So that's not going to help with the track limits either, but has made it through nonetheless. So anyway, it is currently 4 hours and 34 of this race left to go here. The second round of the race department Le Mans series here. The Thrustmaster 6 hours of Silverstone. And a quick recap of your order. It is Kuba Brzezinski in the number 25 Feeder Ragnar Simulator car. Currently in the lead of this race, around 20 seconds ahead of Johan Harth in the number 17 Drillers Motorsport car. Third place overall is Shane Burke in the number 2 Simtech Motorsport car. Over in GTE, it is Yuri Kastorp in the number 108 Apex Eclipse car, ahead of the 116 FFT Corsa Armando Fiorella in second place in that car. Third place in there, Arwin Taruna in the number 119 HM Engineering car. Now, of course, it's an interesting thing here, and I'm pretty sure whilst we've got not a lull in the action, but
There's never a lull.
no, there is never a lull in the action here, but it's just time to catch your breath a little bit, I think, Simon.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? I think
Actually,
we've had some people.
I'm gonna take the opportunity over here, Simon, and ask you because I'm really curious. How was your viewership count during Eurovision?
How many
What do you
people
mean?
view Eurovision?
No, like how many followers did you lose?
Well, I think it's.
Oh,
Well, I think all 5 of my viewers left to go and watch Eurovision.
boo. No. So every year I live tweet and get drunk during the semi-finals and get quite bitchy on Twitter. So this year I lost about 15 or 20 during the course of a 2 hour stint, just because I end up basically ripping into people's dresses and like shots for key changes and shots for pyrotechnics. Shots for a single dancer on stage. Why is that a thing? You'll have someone doing a ballad and then someone will do an expressionist dance on the side. But I love Eurovision. It's so crazy and stupid. So yes, once this race is finished, if everyone needs to get absolutely drunk afterwards and unwind, you can join me on Twitter for that afterwards.
That'll be an interesting experience, that's definitely for sure.
But Mark Breland is coming up to the pits right now with cars at U-Man 6th, 13th place. Alistair Long is going to take eventually also 12th for Mark. But driver from the Speedy Might is already coming out. Might be a stop and go.
Oh dear, that's not a good thing at all.
So I don't know if we've done some of the welcomes to driver changes of people that have popped in during driver swaps, but KRT have got Peter Stokeman in their car now. 15 laps down, they're still going. They're the only team that have had any kind of disconnection issues. So
Really
welcome
quickly,
to the
Charles
race.
Baccio just had a contact. Let's see. He basically lost on turn 3. Not a place you want to lose your car.
All on his own as well.
Oh yes, just a smidgen too much throttle, and that's just enough to get the rear around.
I love that word, smidgen.
Yeah, just a smidgen of too much power, and that's all you need. There's enough to lose in time, not position, but the end result of that is there is a closer battle now. Baldy is closing significantly on Baccio now, so that's going to be very interesting to witness indeed.
Cool. So whilst you're watching that, I'll just say welcome to some of the other people that have popped in the background. Edison Arcella is also into the race. Welcome to you, and that is for MK Sim Sport. We also have one other that I spotted that have popped in as well that I've now lost. So welcome to the race, whoever that was. Stefan Perrin for Gentleman Racing Spirits. That's also a driver swap that's happened as well. So welcome to you guys, and we'll say hello to everyone as they pop into the booths. and the driver suites as they come and go.
There we go. So now we've had an hour and a half. So we think we've already had one Grand Prix. We've only got several more to go, but exponentially more exciting, I think.
How many? Do you think we should actually measure this race by how many Honda engines explode?
Well, I don't think we can count to that many.
Shots for engines.
To be fair,
Well, if we see an engine blown, I swear to God, I'm gonna drink a beer.
you might be quite drunk at the
Challenge
end of this.
accepted.
Hashtag pray for engine blown engines.
Yeah, it's a not a good game to play, I think, for Honda. Poor old Honda. Fernando Alonso's comments earlier on today, after qualifying for the Formula 1 Grand Prix at Spain, which he won't say the result of. Because,
Don't.
and we're not going to.
Sorry.
And thank you very much
They
for
are.
that. We've got Hearth and Burke in now as well. So, as you say, P2 and P3 are in. Boogie are into the pits as well, and it's interesting to see what's happened. We've also been rejoined by Joseph Wright, who might be able to bring us through some of the pit stops currently happening in P2 as Smarter in as well.
I have no idea what's going on.
Well, that's a good start.
Sorry, I've
All
just been
makes sense.
trying to discuss with the team and the race control because the penalties here, the track limits are being really severe. And TXL unfortunately was hit with it, and we've had to do a drive-through and a stop and go already. So we're just trying to get a few removed to sort it all out.
Okay. Oh, there was
Subiela's in as
contact.
well.
Yes, and there was contact with the pit wall for Subiela, which was not good at all, as he came in, just didn't quite get enough turn in. That was always a good idea.
And
Not good
we
at all.
have James Burke and Johan Hart coming out of the pits, basically overtaking Biella and Watts.
Oh, but look at Baccio there coming through on warm tyres right up onto the back of Johan Hart. That could be interesting. We saw this, but in a different order last time round with other teams and drivers. So the Drillers team there will be desperate to hold off Talking Door Racing for second and third overall. Talking Door really punching well at this stint in the race. Baccio doing a mighty fine job. And I think they've just about held it off. I'm assuming, and we saw this in qualifying, that the tyres do take a little while to get up to temperature so that you can be fully defensive.
Yeah, like they're taking at least a lap or two to get at least in a functional tire temperature, but I like Charles' posture for now. He's not taking risks. He doesn't want to overtake. Now he's been overtaken by Shane Bork before Maggins. He knows his tire is warm, is much more used compared to Shane's and Johan's. It basically is driving for long stints, not for positions.
And he knows, I think, that his battle's really with Atlantic, who are running behind in 5th position, just 2.5 seconds further back. So I guess you want to pick and choose your battles as Burke runs out very, very wide, keeps it all going, and then that's Baccio into the pits, actually. So momentarily we'll hit third. Don't hit the pit lane wall, though. This seems to be the latest thing to be happening as we go through. Ricardo Edmonds also in the pits, as is Marquardt for Panda.
Yeah, and by the way, just want to walk Daniel Gomez into the race over replacing Damian Bowdy.
Hey. Welcome, Mr. Gomez. Got to give everyone some love. Was it Dan, you was talking about Fernando Alonso slightly earlier, where you were saying about how it's not been great for him with Honda, and obviously he's got his Indy 500 race that's coming up. I guess as sim racers, we also have a very good idea of what it's like switching categories between things, because we do it all the time as sim racers. We choose different types of cars to race and play with. I know it's not quite at the same level of like physical drama and expertise, perhaps, but I guess it gives us some insight as to what he'll be doing when he's switching between formulas.
Exactly, it'll be quite interesting to watch. Obviously, it's his changes. It's going to be interesting to see how he actually does in the race. But I think it's interesting, as you say, the comparisons there, because as you say, we often adapt to different conditions. But obviously, sim racing is a very fantastic tool. But at the end of the day, it's doing it live as a whole another challenge, isn't it? Because
I couldn't even fit in a car. let alone-
no, I couldn't reach the pedals, but you know,
Oh,
I'm 5'7", so I've tested it. I can't.
Diddy damn!
5-4-3. Is that it? No. Oh
yes,
my God, we have a
5-2.
5-4-3 position battle.
So at the inside, Shane Burke now to third place, but it's hard in second place. But it's a battle for second, and also a battle for, well, third. But it's looking quite interesting to begin with at the moment as they come round on lap 51.
Yeah, Hodgkinson is obviously on old tyres, slightly affected by the way how his strategies are going, but it could all merge itself back together again later on, depending on how many pit stops each people run. But the drillers and the SimTech teams have been nose to tail. They were mega close in quali, weren't they? So this bodes as no surprise. Although it's fantastic that 96 minutes into the race, they're still nose to tail.
And you know what's going to be more amazing? Luke is actually behind Adam Hodgkinson in terms of LMP cars.
Yes, and as they go, oh sorry,
I was going to mention, Cuba is actually right on the back of Adam. And it's not going to be really, is going to be really quick. Cuba is going to be the only driver, only lap.
And Burke's
exactly.
ahead.
Burke
Burke
is
gets ahead of half. That was
just
whilst
on
they
the
were
exit of
lacking
the
Russell.
cops.
Yeah.
That was
Sorry,
a great move.
And that was all because Russell ran out wide, doing the dutiful thing, diving off the circuit. I hope that doesn't give him a penalty by being so kind. But it was the hesitation that Johan had to do going through cops that allowed Burke to kind of go "Nyip," and through he went up into second position. And immediately he's got a couple of attempts advantage there over the driller's car. And that's really helpful because they've got Saladek just up ahead. Or Saladek, sorry. Said Ladek. Oh yeah, I mean, you know who I mean.
Yes.
And they're coming through, and you need that couple of attempts advantage because otherwise it will just be role reversal the other way round. As we've got 5 or 6 cars all in the pits together at once, and you can see it does go swings and roundabouts because Johan is right onto the back of Burke again.
Exactly. So up the inside, is he going to try and make a move coming into the third corner? Just in fact, he almost got through. Had to back off it though. You can see, unlike the contact a couple of laps ago, he just thought, you know what, I'm not going to make it through here. Why risk it and sort of lay off ever so slightly?
Smarter and Long both in the pits in 10th and 11th further down the field. Oh, Burke. Roy on tenterhooks as we go round the things. And they're getting past Nicholas. It's just for people that don't race in this type of category and where everyone is in the same type of car, explain to us, Roy, everyone that's been out there on the track, what it is like to have to deal with a multiple class race, because I don't think people are quite aware of just how hectic and nerve-wracking it must be.
I'd certainly
What?
say so.
Right?
Oh, so that was for me.
Yeah.
Didn't catch the start of it.
Really
Yes.
quickly before Roy talk,
Yep.
Shane just retaken second place from Johan Hart on Stowe. Really good move on Shane Burke going on inside. They had a touch, small touch, but nothing that could damage both cars. Now you can go, Roy.
Yeah, just got a whisper from my teammate.
Oh, contact!
contact!
yeah,
there.
contact.
Oh no!
that was a dive-a-roo from Johan Half there, and it just caught the rear end of Burke, who didn't see it coming, turned in regardless. Both do a little 90-degree synchronized spinaroo. If that was in an Olympics, they'd probably get an 8 or a 9. Are they going to do a part 2 down here? Burke there jinks across to try and defend from Johan, who had one stab and then had backed out of the second one. And Burke has clearly got his angry elbows out because he didn't feel that that was a warranted move potentially, and Johan will think that he deserves the place. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and this is going to continue and run as they come into Copse. Once again, near half onto the back of Burke. He'll pop out for a little look, but it's not really on because they haven't got the traffic and the speed disparity as they go through Copse. Now into the complex themselves. Who's that up ahead? Are they going to catch them? No, they're going to be okay around this subject, but Burke a little more slidey at the moment in corners than half, albeit maybe a smidge bit faster, but a little less inconsistent, and this one can run and run and run.
Yeah, and a little off information, but it's just quite amazing for me. Kuba just overtaken the whole field. At least he has a lap on everyone.
He's going very well, isn't he? It's a great display from himself, but it must have been laughing when Shane and obviously Johan had that bit of contact, because he just must have sat there and thought, these two are playing about, I'm just driving off into the lead. Ta-ra, lads.
Ta-ra, love it. There is, I guess, also, so to think about Kuba Brzezinski as we watch this battle for second and third continue and evolve, there is also like a concentration element to being on your own, pounding in lap after lap, getting into that zen mode where you aren't put off by all of these cars kind of flying by either side as you go past them. Because it's so easy to lose concentration because you aren't constantly being tested on the limit. There's that kind of fling between being pressured into a mistake or being unpressured into a mistake because you aren't paying concentration anymore.
Yes, exactly. It's as you say, one little mistake, if you're not quite paying attention, it can ruin your race. Because we've seen little lapses of concentration will can end with you in the barrier ultimately, and end with you with some big damage. So it's obviously it's always a shame that these things happen, but you've got to be a bit more careful sometimes. I mean, you've got to be. That's why in this kind of long distance endurance racing, you have to push as hard as you can and just be a bit more patient, I would suppose.
Patience is a virtue, but I don't think many racing drivers have it as an embedded skill. Because you always got that greatness as well between whenever you look at all of the greats of motor racing, and I'd probably argue the same as well with sim racing, or any kind of sport where you need to excel and be the top of your echelon. You've got that selfishness, I guess, that drives your grit and determination. And very few people then have patience as a skill set to kind of fall back on when they need to, because it's always guns blazing going in. So you kind of got to juggle your primary and secondary skill set as Charles Baccio pops into the pits as his Fermier Primitivo.
There we go.
And Sofatsu is also on his way into the pits.
Isn't it nice that all the teams are running still as well?
Yes, it's great to see that everyone's still out there, because at the end of the day, you want to be out there as racing as long as you can and have as much track time as you can. So
definitely, and a shout out to KMT. They're down at the back there with Peter Stokeman. They're 16 laps off the pace. They've had 2 disconnections, but they're still out there giving it some welly and catching back up again. And their next team, which sadly for you, Roy, is RMI. 6 laps up the road with Michael Nelson, but
yeah, we've had a disconnection as well. So.
Oh, did you? Sorry, I missed that entirely.
Yeah, so we dropped, what was it, 3 laps I think on that disconnection. It altered our strategy a little bit, but well, we're still in the race. thankfully, this is R Factor 2 where you can rejoin the race.
Yep.
And is anyone doing R Factor 2 in DX11? Because I'm not yet.
Yeah, I thought
No,
I
not
was,
me.
but I don't think mine is at the moment.
I think most people are running DX9 anyway, due to the fact that Enduro racers haven't updated yet theirs for DX11. So frame rates are a huge issue. Some people are running DX11, but most of us are running DX9 for now.
And furthermore, just to compliment on the X11, people not using it. One of the things that people are using the X9, it's the fact that most of the plugins haven't been ported to the X11. So with the lack of port, for example, of the plugin, when I mean plugin is there's one major plugin. I'm trying to remember the name because usually I'm not really good with names when I try to record them for plugins. They don't remember. They don't have it for the X11, so they lose it. And furthermore, as Joseph said, Hindu Racer still hasn't been ported to the X11, which they're doing it and should be released really soon.
Yeah.
We have someone in the green room, if you want to talk to them.
Hold on.
Okay then, how do you do this? There we go. Simon, take the lead. Say something.
Something. There we go. So sorry, I was just hearing someone that had a driver swap. We've been welcomed into the booth by the rather amazing Yuri Kastorp. How are you doing, Yuri?
I'm alright. Had a good stint.
You did have a good stint, but after a great qualifying as well, you seem to find yourself in a rather interesting battle that we were watching on broadcast for quite a while. It was looking juicy. How is it for you?
Against who? Because I've had 2 good battles.
Well, with Enzo, with God knows who, with some other peeps.
Oh yeah. I think the main difference is that we're doing softs, and I don't know. I think most of us are on mediums, so we'll have a bit more pace while we're out on track, but we'll spend more time in the pits. So we're expecting at the start to have to pass a couple of people, and after our pit stops, we got stuck a bit behind Enzo, but it's good fun racing. It was clean.
That's interesting then, because clearly you must feel that you're able to overtake and put the moves on people to make that strategy work.
Yeah, I think maybe at the start of the race it's a bit more of a disadvantage, but once you get a bit further into the race and it's a bit more spread out, I think it will work a bit better. But it's not that big of an issue because the cars have a bit of boost as well. And when you're behind overs and mediums, especially after your first major pit stops, you're on fresh new soft tires and they're on old worn-out mediums, so it's not the hardest thing to pass them.
I think you're underestimating your skill, as Johannes Melakar spun off in 34th position, just got going again. Welcome to the race, Johannes. That was not the best way to introduce you in Redshift, but there we go. So, are you back in the car a little bit later on?
Yeah, it's just gonna be me and Jonas today, so it looks so far that we're just gonna do stints and then swap and then do stints and swap again.
And a couple of bonus questions from myself. Are you looking to go to enjoy the Eurovision later this evening?
The what?
The Eurovision Song Contest.
Not at all.
Damn it! You just lost a follower.
Yeah, they're all leaving. And the question that's been asked by the audience for people to ask today: what's the oldest sim racing thing that you own?
Sim racing.
Either a piece of kit, or a game, or anything like that.
I haven't been into sim racing for that long. Only about 3 years, and I've bought most stuff new. So
you newbie.
I guess all the stuff can be my old Fanatec base, the Club Sport 1 base. That's been here for about 2 years. But
that's all right. That's good. That's good. Oh well. I'm glad you decided to stick around in sim racing.
Yeah, well, my first sim was a Santa Cosa, so that's not too old, I think.
Oh crikey, you are! Oh, I feel like I need to go in an old people's home now.
Oh god.
Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Anything you'd like to say out onto the broadcast, Yuri?
Well, for some B2 cars, they could do with a bit more patience. Because I've had a couple times in the corners where they go for late moves where there's no room, and I think one time even into turn 1, there was a GT car in front of me getting lapped. He was moving out of the way, going to the outside, and then a B2 car tried to go down the inside in turn 1, making it 3 wide, and we had some contact there because you can't really go 3 wide in that corner. And some other small incidents where it could have just easily been avoided if the B2 car is a bit more patient and a bit clearer what he's going to do. But it's been better than last time at least. It's fairly clean. I've had a couple of small incidents like the one in turn 1, but overall it's been pretty decent.
Let's hope that continues on, and best of luck for your team for the rest of the day.
Thank you.
No problem. That was Yuri Castor. Don't forget, cheer them on. Be nice to them. And if anyone else wants to come and join in on the act, you're more than welcome to join in into the green room if you're a driver that's been playing along, and we'll pop you in when we get the chance to. Whilst that was going on, let's just quickly welcome a couple of other people into the race, and then I shall shush for a minute. We welcome to the race Akos Varga, down in 36th position. He is racing in Team GTRM.
Yeah,
sorry,
and,
was that right?
Go ahead. Yeah, Daryl Russell spun in Brooklands. He got hit by another GT car. Catch which one it was at the moment.
Oh yeah, he spun it around when it was behind a prototype, and then it was a Panda racing car that came into him as he was sitting stationary through Brooklands.
Really quickly, also we want to welcome Jeffrey Fournier from Speedy Mike. He's in 14th.
Oh, hey Jeff. I used to race alongside him in other stuff.
Yeah, he just rejoined the server. He had probably a server crash or a game crash, but he's rejoined. But lost probably 3 laps in the whole due process.
They've had a torrid time whenever it comes to anything near a pit. But they just need to keep their cool together. Yeah, he disconnected before that interview took place. So, but he's back going again, now in 27, so that's good. Jonas Ravio, obviously welcome to the race for him. Alistair Long has just disconnected as well from P12, so that's a shame for the Wild Weasel team. Clearly they need to fumigate out some weasels so that their connection works a wee bit better in the future.
Yeah, I just want to also mention that Amadeo Furiella, who's now in the 116 car leading the GTs, he had a big issue coming through that final complex of corners at the end of last lap. He started to wobble, he went wide, and he was lucky to be able to get it back on the track because he is leading that GT class at the moment.
We also had Sherwin van der Sloot disconnecting and reconnecting to the server a little while ago. And we've had the leader Kuba Brzezinski into the pits and out again while we had the interview. And somehow Alistair Long has disconnected right now, has he?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he has. Just a couple of seconds ago, about half a lap ago, that happened. So hopefully they'll get back in and sort themselves out again. With Brzezinski actually popping into the pits, that's a good pickup. That's put Burke, Half, Watts, Pizzo, and Sibiela onto the lead lap momentarily. So they all feel like they're actually part of the lead race for a split second before they're not again. So that's quite nice. But it doesn't matter how many laps lead you've got, it's just whether you made it all the way through the 6 hours. So this is all just... When I think of lead, when I talk about endurance racing, I more think about just buffer, because all kinds of cat can hit the fan, and especially if you've had a good carry the night before, it'll go everywhere, and something must be happening because someone's going ooh.
Yeah, I just did the ooh, which is Amadeo Fiorella was in the pit and basically overshot his pit stop.
Oh dear. Oh, welcome to the race, Luca Babetto, as well, on 29. Sorry, I missed you out as well. How easy? Because that's not the first time we've seen someone overshoot their pit box. How easy is it to do with these cars? Can you actually see where you're supposed to go?
You can see it, but it's depending on how you come into the track. It's rather hard to see, especially if you got a lot of traffic. And to be more specific, there isn't something like iRacing where you only see your pit mechanic. You just see sometimes you just see not a glimpse, but a blip of where you have to pit stop. And for drivers, you might not even be able to see it.
Especially
Wow,
not if you're
whilst-
coming into the car as well and haven't started it. Because when you start it and have done the qualifying and such, you will drive out of the pit box and you know where you have to stop. But if you're coming in, well, as a and then the driver swap later on, you might not be 100% sure where this is. And I see the TXL car backwards into the gravel.
Uh-oh. No one told Joseph. No one told Joseph.
What? No, what? No.
No, yeah. You should have said it out loud.
There was some contact with drillers. Drillers have gone into the back of TXL. So Mark has been able to get the car back onto the circuit, but that was following contact with the prototype. So I'm going to go watch it back quickly and see who was at fault for that.
Here we go. Penalties coming up.
And that was definitely Driller's fault. Looking back at it, Drillers have just ploughed straight into the back of TXL. No even moved to try and get past that. He's just gone straight into the back and taken out my wonderful team.
I think deep down inside, he just loved the fact that Drillers just got into his car. Just saying.
And so Fatsi is back into the pits. It wasn't more than 2 or 3 laps ago since he was in last.
Well, Alistair Long's in the box now as well, but he's had a disconnect, I believe.
Yeah, so he's just rejoining back in again, back in 17th position. And as Alistair Long rejoins the race, we're going to take a quick mini break to bring you some words from our lovely sponsors here on Race Department. Don't go anywhere, we've got plenty of action to come. And welcome back then to Race Department's Le Mans series, brought to you by Vesaro. And we're here for the Thrustmaster 6 hours of Silverstone. We are approaching the very end of hour number 2. Don't go for a number 2. And my name is Simon Smith, and dragging you kicking and screaming all the way to the finale. Alongside me currently at the moment is the wonderful Dan Marr.
I'm still here, don't you worry.
Enjoying you. What flavour Pringles have you got there, mate?
I had some salt and vinegar ones.
Ooh, retro classic, cool. Alongside Dan as well. I don't know what you're stuffing, but it's Roy Magnus.
Hello.
Not stuffing